Hello, internet friends. It is OOTP After Talk on a Tuesday night, and I am very excited to have as my guest tonight the newest OOTP affiliate. He's so new that he hasn't even streamed yet. I think actually, let me rephrase that. You'll hear this story, but I think he streamed in the before times, but he has not streamed since he became an affiliate. So very excited, and let's just get him right in here. So friends, please join me in welcoming Comey to the stage. Hello, Comey. Welcome.
Well, this is odd. I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear
Very
me?
strange, because we just were talking for 20 minutes and now I can't hear you.
That is very strange.
It's been broken.
We somehow
I can
were
hear
talking.
the test. I can hear everything. I can't hear you.
Um,
This is a really good way to start, and for
That's
people,
right. The
because
folks at home
you know
can hear you.
the out of the park stream has ended, and now here we are and can't hear a damn thing. That's really good.
So I can hear you and
Yeah,
they can
nothing.
hear you. That is hilarious. So literally,
Let me try
friends,
something.
we were just
It's
talking.
always good with the troubleshooting, you know? Like, that's always a good.
We were just talking as we started, Comey and I. So that is, I blame franchise in the crawl space. I think that's the problem. Hello, friends. Welcome. We've got a couple new follows. Shiv Susana and Gary LDC. Thank you for following. Look at all these first-time chatters. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're here now.
There we go. That's fantastic.
So that's good.
I'll stop naming people in the chat then.
So we can just do that the whole time.
It's much easier. You can take the time. Look at that, Rachel.
I feel like Max is like 5 people taking shifts, because every time I'm on a stream, I see Max. I think I was on at 4 a.m. and there was Max, and I was like, "What is that, Max? What, P79?" Like I always joke.
I always joke that Max is very available, because every once in a while I'll be like, I need, hey, I need a guest for After Talk, and Max is like, I'm available. I'm ready. I can go anytime.
I also just want to point out that my wife is watching, so please keep the, in the chat, keep the comments about my hair to, just keep it clean, people.
All right, let's start there. Let's start there, because for the longest time, Laptop has had the best hair in affiliates thing going on. So we need a hair off between you and Lap here.
It's the only reason I got into this, was the hair.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That was it.
So you are a brand new affiliate, and one of the things that I really appreciated was how kind of intentional you have been in starting up your stream, because idiots like me just are like, I'm going to stream, and then I just start blathering. But you have been, I think you've talked with a lot of affiliates about how they do things and that sort of thing. And so talk a little bit about that process.
It runs counterculture to how I do virtually everything. And I guess that's not entirely true, but I didn't want to half-ass this. That, I didn't want to go in and just, I'm an idiot to begin with. I didn't want to be an unwitting idiot, to the point that this is still my first stream. There will be a stream coming, possibly tomorrow, probably Friday. I think definitely Saturday. I think I wrote myself into PTCS. I think that's going to be a thing. But I really would rather do it right. Just for those who don't know the name, because on the OTP boards, I've been John C since 2001 or whatever it is. I am one of the old heads of this community. I've been around since South Park 2. Um, I was the 400 Software Studios intern. I was Marcus's intern.
Huh.
I still don't understand that one. That's one's weird.
When did it become
Um,
Solacimic? Or did it
uh,
start with Solacimic?
no. Solosemic, that is front office football.
Oh, right. You're right. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's Jim Ginden. Um, and that's always been separate. No, 400 um was that was Arlie Ron, who is uh Grey Dogs software, which has bowl bound college football. It has the big wrestling game whose name I can't remember. It has a superhero game. Um, and there were other things. And then there's also Gary Gorski, who is Wolverine Studios,
Yeah.
and has the all of the draft day sports line. Um, Basketball, football are really the big ones there, but all of them were under one roof. With Marcus, really just starting out. Like Gary hadn't made any games, Arlie hadn't made any games as far as I remember, and it was just a place for small indie developers to collaborate, learn from each other, and all of that. Um, there is there is a I'm just looking at the comments. There is a ombudsman from the OTP Development Forum. It's called the Off Topic Forum.
Oh, no. Don't go in there.
You
Don't go in there.
it is a treasure trove of things you never thought you didn't want to see. I am the longest reigning off-topic wrestling heavyweight champion, so y'all can suck it on that. The lack of
I
clutter behind me is distracting. Oh, you should see the rest of the room. You should see the rest of the room.
It's funny, franchise. Comey and I were talking about that early on. So you start with OOTP 2. What how do you learn about OOTP? Because I've often told the story that I ordered it out of the back of a magazine. I had to mail Marcus a check to get the original OOTP.
And I mean that probably took like a year and a half to get to Marcus, because that's how mail was back then.
Yeah.
To get to Germany. I mean,
Yes.
whatever.
And then he mailed me a CD.
Yeah. There are the way I got into it. I'm going to keep just old head dropping. There's a guy by the name of John Johnson who on the OTP forums is Dream Teams, who he's a um legendary. You want to say legendary? Like back, I don't. I'll be honest. I don't know how the forums really operate these days, in terms of um really just chronicling your saves. Like I think it's done uh more like this these days, but back then, I mean,
What
you
was
wrote everything
narrative
out.
back then?
Yeah, you wrote everything out like a Tiger Fan. um who's still going. Like if you aren't aware of Tiger Fan and what he's done, just look him up on the boards. But Dream Teams was another one. And I was in his only online league that he ran with Front Page Sports 98.
Look,
And
I don't want to speak apostasy, but Front Page Sports Baseball might have been the best sports game I ever played.
it's up there. It was that was my gateway drug into this. I remember my freshman year of undergrad, not leaving campus until I printed out not only all of the stats for the league, but also the 55-page season preview that I was writing for the league, because you have to justify a journalism degree somehow, and that's what I did.
The joys of a campus computer lab back in the day.
Oh man, it was great. You could just print stuff out and it didn't cost things. And oh, it was such a simpler time. It was wonderful.
Uh,
Now, oh God.
so you dive in an OOTP two, and back, friends, in OOTP two, it may shock you to learn there was no online component. Like if you were in an online league, it was all like FTPing files and things. It was FTPing the league file.
It's interesting. It's the process hasn't changed. It's the one thing that's baffling, like of just exporting, import. Like I ran a league with Out of the Park 4. It was called the American Baseball League. I actually I moved to California in 2002, and I was forming at that time, and my Merry Band of Idiots, and actually LB, if he's not here, but he was in that. I don't know if LB's here. I mean, I assume LB's bedtime is like either 9
yeah,
or
I think
3 in the
he does
morning. I
not
don't
stay up
know.
late often.
Yeah. He was in that because he and I go way back. We go back to 2000, maybe late 99. Um, but I simmed out 100 years, and the guys who were in that league all put fictional, like it was all fictional, 16 team, 2 league. Like it wasn't like it is now where you can make the multiple leagues and you could do like it wasn't like that back then. But simmed out 100 years. There was a program back then that you could run, and it would turn the stats into basically like baseball references today, which was really cool. I don't remember the name of it. It was fantastic though. And then we picked up in like 2002 and went from there. Um, and it astounds me that like out of everything that has changed in this game, how you get online files is the one thing that hasn't changed.
Well, so now at least the FTP server is kind of baked into the game,
Yeah.
as opposed to the
And
old days where you had to upload it to a website.
yeah, but it still was handled in game. I guess that's what I'm thinking of, is like
Mm.
the base process is still basically the same. And
Mm.
that is
So
that is the thing. Like, yeah, there was an FTP client and that stuff, but like it's still the process of doing it hasn't changed one iota.
it's I mean it's fat. I mean, one of the interest I so OTP I always OTP I think is a real ship of Theseus kind of creation where they so for those not sorry, I'm being literary. For those not familiar, the ship of Theseus is a philosophical conundrum of if you find an ancient ship and you rebuild it piece by piece, at what point does it stop being that ship and become a wholly new vessel? Um, and to me, that's OOTP, because I don't think there's been a total rewrite, maybe ever. I'm not sure about that, but it's very much a sort of scaffolded, like,
The closest, I mean, and to be honest with you, there's so much that I don't remember,
well,
but I mean, I just brought this up on Reddit yesterday. What one thing that people may not know about Out of the Park's history is it was once under SI's umbrella. SI Sports Interactive, the group
yeah,
that brings you Football Manager, and the whole point was to collaborate and to build them both up because they were both so aligned in what they do. And if there was a major rewrite, I want to say it's like Out of the Park 8 or 9, somewhere in there, which would be about the time that they became, that Marcus joined SI. That would be, but I may have, like, I don't remember versions exactly, but like I want to say 8 or 9 is when that happened, and so like that would be the time where really like the rewrites may have happened. Though I'm still, Marcus still owes me head to head. He
I,
had promised that, like Out of the Park 4 or 5. He had promised for Out of the Park 5. He had said, we're gonna do head to head where like you manage against somebody else, um, just in game, and that was the greatest thing. And I was like, that's the end all be all of of games for me, and then he couldn't make it work, and I would message him a lot just to needle him about it. I should do that. I should just text him and be like, "Where's my head to head? Damn it!"
So there
You
you
know.
go.
But
Here's somebody with Marcus's cell phone number.
oh no, 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 I don't have that. I'm not gonna go. No, it's also in German, so it's like 36 numbers. I can't even program that into my phone.
It's true. Yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
think there's an umlaut over a seven. Like I don't know how to make that a thing.
so how have you seen, because I mean, I have thoughts. I've played OTP on and off since the beginning. And I mean, I have thoughts about how it's kind of developed along the way, but I'm wondering, you know, how have you seen the game develop and what do you think are sort of the real sea changes?
Oh God, that's a layered question. Because like I'm kind of like you, where I have come and gone through because of just various things, and one of the things that I've learned um since finding out that like I've had the ADHD my whole life is that I can get very hyper focused on things, generally with hobbies, and so like that would happen and it would take me away from OTP, and then I
Mm,
would always come back like the smack drug that it is. But I mean, oh, I mean promotion relegation was a cute that was a big one. I could say this with confidence because I know I did. I ran the first pro rel online league with Out of the
that's
Park.
cool.
Um,
So, did you
yeah,
mainly
and
play online? Did you mainly play the online part?
yes,
Did you play base game mainly? What is your?
no, online. It was my opportunity to be creative. Um, like there's a league out there now that I'm in, MLB Pro, which is,
Oh yeah.
as far as I know, it's the only daily league like that runs in real time, basically, and it's been running since 2012. Um, uh, I I would like to say it's probably the last time I pat myself on the back for anything out of the park related, but like, um, the guy who was gonna run the league asked me because when he found out that like I've been around for at that point like 10 years or so, he like thought I was freaking Yoda, and so he wanted my input on stuff, and I'm like, I'm just an idiot who has played this game. But he was like, would you want to do this or run a day by day league? And I'm like, well, as far as I know, a day by day league's never been done, so if you want to stand out, that would be the thing to do. And it's now in its 15th season. Um, so running strong. You'll see it on stream. My Ray, like I'm having a come to Jesus moment with my Tampa Bay Rays, with their garbage ballpark and their garbage owner, who isn't even their owner anymore, and I'm I gotta sell them off probably. Um,
Wow.
and yeah,
Well, that's
it's very
actually a nice
frustrating, but
transition. So you're going to be joining the ranks of the affiliates. What can people expect from a Comey stream?
nonsense.
Well, you've
Not
got a lot of
nonsense.
competition there, man.
Poorly managed teams and ill thought out decisions. That's the Comey guarantee. No, I mean, uh, right now, and the thing that I pitched when, because I'm sure there are some people who are like, how does a guy who has no streaming experience, which is mostly true. I did run a baseball card community where the prizes were given out based off of uh we ran a bunch of out of the park seasons and did various things, where they could pick a legend for a team and put them into a season, and we'd run it out and give out the prizes, and I ran streams on that. But how does a guy who has very little streaming experience become one of the affiliates and want money? No, it's um, there's something like random debut drafts. Like I love drafts. I love drafts. I they're just so much fun to me, and I really been jonesing on the random debut drafts and trying to stretch those out.
What is a
Um,
random debut draft? I don't know those.
so if you go in and you run a historical league, there is a button you can hit
Right.
where
Okay, yeah,
you
yeah.
can
Sorry.
set them up to join from anywhere. I've been learning the limitations of the random because I've been trying to do some things where you can import just random draft, like random seasons, like just the draft, and then finding out that that's actually a really hard needle to thread. But drafts are going to be a big thing. I am very big into history and trivia. If you are local to Rhode Island, Massachusetts, I just shameless promotion. I run a Thursday night trivia gig in Attleboro. So if you're anywhere nearby, you just
There
reach
you
out.
go.
I'll tell you
That's
where it's
gotta
at.
be fun.
Um, but so like I would like to do some historical what ifs based off of things that happened on a day in history. And then I think some
Ooh,
challenges with
like what's a
chat
big what
members
if
and
you'd want to tackle? I love that idea.
um well I guess the the thing that stuck out because I reached out to Spore earlier today to find out if there's a process for like for suggesting um different sets
Hmm.
because and I don't know if it's been done before because I like me and Perfect Team I haven't paid like I'm into it now but like I haven't always been, and so I don't know if there's been a like a one hit wonder thing, and the thing that's in my head is the Steve Jeltz game, and you're gonna hear about it when we get to our draft. But I guess like a what if would be like, what if Steve Jeltz was good at baseball? Like what if he was the Steve Jeltz from the Steve Jeltz game? How would that play out? And so that would be a thing. It would just be asking like ridiculous questions and then playing it out, whether it's current day or past or whatever.
So do you like go into the editor and sort of uh muck about with the players to kind of create these what ifs?
Oh,
Or
very much.
yeah, yeah.
Very much though I mean in some cases yes, and then in some cases leave it up to chance, like that would be the fun thing. In some cases uh I would leave it up to chat. Whatever one to three people will be watching me at that time, it would be up to them
You're going to
to
be surprised. I think you're going to find that you'll have an audience, and partly we all affiliates have to acknowledge it. Partly it's because of drops, and that's wonderful, but it's also partly because people, for whatever reason, will connect with what you're doing. That
yeah.
is a beautiful, and it's a beautiful thing to sort of. It takes a while, but you start to build kind of an organic community, and then like you can't get rid of Cardinal fan as much as you try.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for the drops. But like that's why I'm here for this is to get the drops. Um, Figured I might as well kill two birds with one stone. Well, you'll hear more about Steve Jeltz in a second. Uh, Hollywood, you'll hear shortly, and I saw an Attleboro nice, which is Attleboro is nice. I actually would like to see why you think it's nice. Like what's going on there?
That sounds like a challenge.
I like Attleboro. Attleboro is like a great New England city. Like the YMCA in Attleboro is like the emblematic YMCA of New England. It's dead to rights. It's that and Manchester, New Hampshire, where there's weird corridors that somehow lead to a basketball court, and yeah, it's
I went
very
to college
odd.
in Bennington, Vermont, so
Oh, okay, okay. I've driven through there. That's like I was in Burlington once. I want to go up for they have mini mini Fenway, mini Wrigley, mini Field of Dreams up
right, yeah,
there.
yeah.
And every August they do a tournament that raises money and awareness for type 1 diabetes. And There's a wiffle ball league that I follow called MLW, Major League Wiffle. It's actually based out of Michigan, um, but they've become big time. Um, they had guys during Major League Baseball playoffs. This will never not astound me. During Major League Baseball playoffs on TBS, two of their guys showed up and showed Pedro Martinez how to throw a slider with a wiffle ball while they struck out Jimmy Rollins with it. And I was like, what? Because they're doing what, like, I think just about like many in the chat probably did, which is play wiffle ball in their yard. They kept stats. They also filmed it all and put it on YouTube starting at 9. And now they had a World Series. It's at SoFi, for crying out loud.
Oh, I
Like
remember I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like they do this. They go up to this tournament in August, and I would like to go up there and see those and see that. So that could be a thing sometime.
So who's your team? Who do you?
Phillies. I'm a Phillies guy.
Wow. Because of
I
Pennsylvania.
mean, yeah, I'm from Harrisburg. I did not really like to admit that as much, but yeah, I'm all the Philly teams. I like the Red Sox, like they're my AL team. I guess I like losing as a teenager. I don't know. Yeah, because you can't say either team are like the lovable losers anymore. Like they're not. They're also Rams.
Right.
If you want to look at it, they're also Rams, but they've had their moments. Like the Eagles. Nobody could say the Eagles are terrible. You know, they're a fantastic franchise, but they weren't when I was growing up. Like they
Right.
were
Which
awful.
is funny
They weren't
because
awful, but they were off and on.
you know the Giants were pretty bad, but when I moved to San Francisco, 1981, the 49ers become the 49ers. Which, you know, this is sort of bleeding into our draft here, but like I immediately became a 49ers fan just out of sort of complicity and closeness. And so you're mainly going to be doing base game, which I love to have more base game streamers, but you qualified for the first PTCS already. You said you got into Draft Weekly.
I think so. I think I'm like 1/16th or something, and that really just it really just lends credence to the Shakespearean monkey role. Pretty sure that's what happens there. And no, like I mean, I enjoy doing it. Like I can figure out the strategies. Like actually, uh, uh, during the pandemic, I and Lap knows this because he called it out, which astounded me. During the pandemic, for maybe a month, 2 months, I would do perfect drafts on my iPad through Out of the Park Go, obviously, because you can't do it another way. But I would record it and put it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was fun, and then Lap remembered it because Lap is I guess a Borg
Lap
who remembers
everything
everything
except the names of any players.
I could believe that. I could believe that. Before I forget, because it's been bugging me. Picard, yay or nay on the series?
Picard, you know, I haven't watched it.
All right.
I'm a weird fan in that I love the original show and I like Deep Space Nine, but I haven't seen a lot of other Star Trek.
Okay. I grew up in Next Generation. Big time.
That was around too. I mainly read Star Trek novels. That was my because we didn't have cable for some of this time and all this stuff. So I read every Star Trek novel, probably multiple times when I was a kid.
I've seen them. I thought they were hollow inside. Like I thought they were just to help
some
populate
of them
bookshelves.
were.
Interesting.
They're not hollow, they're dead inside. There's a subtle difference.
Well, I guess that's Worf after a certain amount of time. No, my understanding is Picard, like, because my wife and I watched it or started watching it, and I couldn't get into it like the first season, and I got away from it. And I heard that like the last two seasons are great. And I'm seeing in the chat from Ken Bex who says Picard is awesome. I'm like, yeah, I might have to circle back to that
Mm.
um, and and
I've
and
heard
watch
really
it. But
good
I just
things about Strange New Worlds and about Below Decks. Both of those are definitely things
yeah,
I want to
Below Deck
watch.
seems pretty cool.
I got to admit, one of the hey, thanks for hanging out, Hollywood. One of the um, really positive effects of my lovely wife is that I watch so much less TV than I used to. Just because she doesn't like all the noise and stuff, and so like we pretty much watch maybe something with dinner, and then I don't want. So I watch so much. I consume so much less than I used to, which makes me, I think, enjoy what I do consume more.
Okay, yeah. We watch we watch YouTube. Like
Mm.
Grand Theft Auto hide and seek is the thing because it's
Grand
nonsensical.
Theft Auto hide and seek.
Shout out to Harm None. He will never hear this, um, but yeah, we watch that, and then she's watching some show, and maybe if she's, I don't know if she's still in the chat. I mean, she maybe, whatever. There's a show that she's watching that is just a batshit crazy. It makes me think of like if you remember Eon Flux.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, she wasn't aware that it was a cartoon before it was a movie or something. I think it
Oh,
was a movie,
wow.
and the cartoon is what I imagine being on heavy drugs to be like. Like it's what I imagine LSD and shrooms are. I watched it as a
What's the name of the show? Is it
15-year-old.
an anime or something?
Yeah, it was Eon Flux. It was on
Oh, oh,
MTV.
oh, she's watching Eon Flux.
Oh
Okay.
no, oh I don't know. Actually, I don't know. She just put in there Foundation. She just
Oh
put
yeah,
in
I've
there.
read
Yeah,
Foundation.
my wife Siobhan, she's here because she's bored in Dog City in New Hampshire. Foundation. It is a nutso show that she watches
Oh,
before bed. Like it is like just absolute. Like she is watching it when I get home from my trivia gig, and I will look at it and just people are like just like one dude just drowned himself, just drowned himself because another guy was like, "You should drown yourself." And I was like, "What
so
the?"
the
And then she
books
watches it
get
and she's like, "All
weirder
right, I
and
think I'll go to
weirder.
bed." And then she'll sleep fine. She'll sleep fine, and I'm very envious of all of that.
Uh, Foundation is one of those where like everybody that's like, don't read Dune after book two. The same people are like, don't read Foundation after book one. It just gets
Oh,
very weird.
oh,
Uh,
well, I told her it's like what I imagined Eon Flux to be like. And I would watch that cartoon and not make heads or tails. I would have no idea what's going
yeah.
on. I'd have no idea. And it just was the weirdest, most abstract, bizarre shit that followed Beavis and Butthead and Daria. And
Yeah, that was weird
it,
when MTV was like, we make cartoons now
yes.
because we don't do music
And
anymore. It's cartoons and the challenge.
then after all of that, 120 minutes with Matt Pinfield.
Yeah. And then, oh, one of the great loves of my life. Oh God, what was the softcore porn show on MTV that I'm blanking the name? Undressed. MTV Undressed was one of the like, nowadays people will watch things and go like, oh God, AI probably wrote that. This was written by artificial stupidity. It was,
I vaguely remember that show.
oh, we loved it. There was like, they would do like on weekends, they would do like a 24-hour marathon. And one of my friends and I would watch like 8 hours of Undressed and just rip it to shreds. It was fantastic. Ugh.
I remember its
By the way,
sequel,
Nicolino's
Total.
really glad that we're talking about MTV softcore porn shows.
I mean, it's better than USA Up All Night. What do you want?
Oh man, did I love USA Up All Night. That
Um,
USA Up All Night was when I started working on my Gilbert Godfrey impersonation. But
oh
who was it
God,
first? Rhonda Shearer was your name? The the
I
the
that
the blonde bombshell that hosted it for a while.
that I don't know. I only became aware of it in like the late or not the early 90s when Gilbert Gottfried was running it.
USA up all night.
Oh, that's definitely a thing that you just did. We can't unlive that one. That was
No,
well
gonna be
done.
out there. I we never had Cinemax, so I never got to. Although, so my best friend in high school didn't have a television, and this is 87, 88, and he would come over to my house. We would. This is why I loved high school. All Saturday, we would play 12 hours of D&D, and then he would spend the night. And he would like pick just the worst stuff on. He would be like, we can watch TV. Awesome. Silk sheets, whatever silk stockings, I think it was. But he would like find the worst TV shows that he could find. And I'd just be like, oh, this is awful. He was big. That's how I got most of my pro wrestling knowledge, because he really wanted. It's funny, at home, his parents would be sitting in the living room listening to classical music. But when he's at my house, he was watching pro wrestling.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was me when I was at other houses too. Because my dad didn't like pro wrestling, want me to see pro wrestling. I don't. I guess he thought I thought it would be real. I don't know. But no, when I would sleep over, especially at my friend Zach's house, would watch Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, which Freddy Krueger, scares the crap out of me to begin with. And then to see that, and then it would be whatever he found in his dad's closet. And that would be, like people don't realize, like if you're of a younger age, the real prize was the gift of the chase of finding the videotape somewhere in your dad's closet and then putting it back just right.
Videotape.
Yeah, putting it back just right, so like you wouldn't know it was gone.
Oh,
that
God.
was a thing.
That was a thing. I still remember. I was probably 12, but I was walking down the street in San Francisco, and I thought I saw a $5 bill on the street, and I got super excited, and I picked it up, and it was a very clever porn advertisement. And I still remember stupid, literally virginal me going like, darn it, and like throwing it down.
I once threw a tooth in the sewer. I have that. Yeah. I was 6 years old eating an apple. I took a bite. I thought I hit a seed. I pulled it out, just chucked it on the street, went down the sewer, took the next bite, and there was a gap in my mouth where the tooth was, and I lost it because what am I going to give the tooth fairy?
Yeah, you were down $1, man. Did you also, Nolan Network? Did you also like pour water in the liquor bottle? Did you go for the full stereotype?
No, I didn't drink until I was 25, and I didn't do any of that, but I did pretty much everything else. Probably, I don't know.
Did one person asked?
I was a good kid mostly.
So my parents were always out doing stuff, so the only way I could rebel was to be boring. Somebody asked earlier, and I think I like this. Did you ever play like Stratomatic or Status Pro or any of the baseball kind of board games?
We don't speak about Stratomatic here. This is an Out of the Park stream. No, yes, yeah, but also no. Like superficially, I have. And I'm trying to remember that the other game that I got into was like Out of the Park had like it was. If you buy Out of the Park at the mall, it was season ticket baseball for a couple versions.
Right.
Like Out of the Park 3, I think was season ticket 2003 or something. And I had that just on CD, just so like I could take it to my then girlfriend, her ex-wife's house, and play it there, because then it was mobile. Like they have Steam back then. Come on.
Right.
So, but no, I played what I did more like my PC games, and that we could segue into the draft if you want.
Well, Status Pro is actually, I mean, Stratomatic is a board game.
Yes.
Stratomatic is
Yes.
like, I played that. I played Dynasty League. We made fake cards for them. Oh, in college, I had Stratomatic basketball, and we made like teams of all of our friends because we would play hoops in the evenings. And so I was really happy because my buddy Dan made my card like after I had my one good game. So I was like freaking Frank Brakowski.
Nice.
I was a rebound hook shot machine.
I was and still am a point forward with range.
Nice. I got no range.
I haven't played in a while due to injuries, but the shot doesn't go away. Hasn't gone away yet.
My hook shot didn't go away, but everything else went away. I haven't played. I retired from full court after, I tore like my fourth calf muscle. I was like, all right, the universe is telling me something.
I broke my wrist in a game last March. Taking the weakest charge that I still don't think it was a charge. And I was our point guard, and I was just coming back from a back injury that kept me out. Like I slipped in the driveway, and it took a week or two from me, and I was just coming back, and then I broke the wrist. But our offense wasn't doing anything when I was in the game, so I came out of the game and I went back into the game with the one hand, and that didn't go well.
Yeah. Once the other team realizes.
No, like, I mean, I actually still was able to get the ball moved, but like it just hurt. Like I couldn't. I mean, I played on a torn. Like I'm an idiot. I played on a torn ACL, broken nose, concussed. Like I've done so much crap, and that's actually one of the picks that we'll have coming.
Yeah,
up,
we'll do that in a minute. Did you? So do you play other sports video games?
Yes. Yeah, I play basketball, football, soccer. When I've been trying to get in the Football Manager 26. It's making improvements. I'm not there yet. I played a lot of 24. It got me back into soccer. But I played Madden. I play NCAA. Like I'm happy NCAA came back. I've been trying to get into NBA 2K. I cannot. I shoot too well on like the second degree difficulty, and then I bumped to the third degree, and I can't a thing. And I'm like, how is that much of a leap? I don't understand.
My favorite thing about 2K is that the little story mode for your like first season, it just assumes you're good. So like I played a season where like it was almost like a weird existential O. Henry story because I was really bad, but the story kept just going like, you're the man. This is so great. You're going to be on Team USA. And then meanwhile, I'm like, I just went like 10 for 32 with 6 turnovers, in my head, like the poor guy was just like, does nobody else notice?
No. You're playing out Angel Reese career mode. That's what's happening. That's what's going down there. I didn't have that
many rebounds.
Well, the shooting percentage is there.
Yeah, the shooting percentage was right.
I do play. I got to get back into it. Super Mega Baseball.
That was fun. I played that a couple of years ago.
That when I'm if I'm not doing an out of the park stream, like if I'm streaming off, it will probably be playing that. Not playing online. Somehow there's this one absurd like Nazi racist who is constantly playing Super Mega Baseball 4 and trolling like in the way that people do. Like you take your time, you just do ridiculous stuff, and somehow hasn't gotten banned and has been there for years, and people call him out on Reddit all the time. And so if you match up with that guy, it's a terrible experience. But playing the season mode of Super Mega Baseball I love it. It's so much fun. So I will, for some reason, that.
And it's weird because I am not in any way a purist at anything, but arcade baseball always bugs me. Like every time I play MLB The Show, I'm driven batty by how the numbers are not real numbers. Pitchers,
That
like your character is not going to walk as much as everybody else. That it just drives me crazy.
I mean, realistically, Super Mega Baseball isn't arcade. It's simulation. Um, it can look cheesy, and sometimes the fielders do dive longer than I think they should, but that's neither here nor there. The game plays like a simulation game. Like it's
Huh.
really
Well,
very
I
good.
mean, I have
The
this
stats
problem with,
turn out really well. Like it's really very good.
huh? Yeah, I enjoyed playing that. It was fun. It was very silly. Um, so you're gonna play. Maybe you'll play a little bit of that. You'll be doing OOTP stuff. Um,
Hmm.
are you gonna have any sort of and this is not, by the way, a requirement or anything like that, but are you gonna have any sort of like community interactive stuff going on, or
No, I'm gonna have chat turned off the whole time. It's just gonna be me playing.
you know,
No,
not a bad idea.
yeah, I mean there will be. It will take time. I feel like you kind of want that to grow organically, and
Yeah,
wherever it
I think
goes,
that's right.
it goes.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't want, like, it's not gonna happen right away, and it's not gonna happen for a little while. Like I don't want to lock myself into something that I will end up changing, because that will be it. Like that will be a thing. Like I just kind of, if there's a community that forms, I'd like the community to kind of set itself, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
that'll be
I
what
think that makes a
happens.
lot of sense. Well, shall we dive into 9 innings?
Yeah,
All right.
let's go for it.
So every I ask my guest every time to do with me a 9 inning draft. And just to remind people, the first one we did, TJ, we did baseball movies. The second one was Baseball Outliers with Franchise and Ripley. That was very fun. Then it was EVC and I doing players that were Dodgers and Giants. And now Comey and I are taking a different kind of twist on this. We're going a little more narrative, and we're going to do formative sports experiences. So I'm going to give you the first pick in this draft.
That's good. I was worried you were going to take mine.
So what is your and for people, it's kind of small. The two special innings. The first one is a non-baseball. The third inning is non-baseball sports experience, and the seventh inning is a formative sports experience involving a scrub player. All right, the floor is
Oh,
yours
wait,
for your
okay.
first
So wait,
one.
wait, wait. You didn't tell me specifically which rounds. Tell me that again, because I did mine in uh
Oh,
more
that's right. You
like a
went
timeline.
like timeline. Well, you know what? Do it in your timeline, and we'll make it work. I'll put them in the right place.
All right. So uh I'm just warning, I don't know how many people are here, but I'm just gonna warn you lot.
Nobody watches this crap.
It's gonna be weird. I mean, not weird, but like I don't know. I bunched them up, and I did that with the first one. So uh my first one, I just timed, is 1988, 1990. My first baseball cards, which was, my dad came home from a trip, and he brought home a baseball binder with, the pages inside that you put the cards in, and a 1988 Topps Rack Pack that had Pete Rose on it. Now, I didn't know baseball players then. Like I had no idea. Like I played baseball. I played since I was a four, and I loved it. But I didn't know player. Like I didn't know players. I didn't know teams. Like that was kind of like my wake up call. Like, oh, here's this guy with the weirdest haircut ever. Because Pete Rose has
The
he
bowl cut.
had, yeah. How do you have a bolt like him, and what's his face in Las Vegas, Allen? Like they're the oldest people with bowl cuts I've ever seen. But regardless, like the 88 set, which is and it might be a narrative of my life and when I get into things and the timing, because the 1988 set is the most overproduced, most garbage set of all time, and that's where I got in, was with 88 tops. Um, and then the next year, I got the 1989 Baseball Encyclopedia, which had Mark McGwire in the front. I actually had saved a picture of it somewhere. I went looking for it. But the thing with this encyclopedia was it had narratives of each season. It didn't just have the stats, like it went year by year, but it had like how the year played out. Like the closest thing I can think of, and I'm putting this up to the screen, is the Coppet Major League, like concise, like what I love this book so much. Like I will use this book for
Oh
and
yeah.
keep it like that for a minute, because I have one other I'm going to pull up. But I was a voracious reader growing up, and really until ADHD really kind of took that away from me, because I can't get through like 3 pages without wondering about other crap. But I would read that baseball encyclopedia, and it just clued me on, like, oh, there's stuff with history, and oh, I love history. And this has a crap ton of it. I remember there was a code in the encyclopedia that was DD, and it meant that the player died during the year. And I was like, that's how I learn about death. And it was just insane. It was an insane book that I just read cover to cover, just nonstop. And that I fell in love with baseball. I was actually, you talked about making cards. I was making baseball cards at that point, because anything I can make with paper. I tried to make like a portable TV player that would play comic strips that I would make, and it's
Oh
such
yeah, it would
crap.
turn the yeah.
No, I literally would like build a box through paper and just put 2 slits in it, and just would make a comic strip and just pull it through, like as if this was going to entertain anybody.
Right.
But I would make baseball cards that were just so bad. They were so bad. And I mean, they were like Jose Canseco, so like of course they're gonna be bad. But there was another book, and I actually bought this, and I looked for it online today. You can get it off like the Web Archives library. Like you could sign up, borrow it, take it out like electronically, which is pretty cool. But on Amazon, this thing is like $150, and I'm like, that's insane. I
Wow.
didn't get it for that. I got it for like $10. But there's a book that I got in fourth or fifth grade called The 24-Inch Home Run, and it's this. And if anybody is familiar with this book, uh, this is the greatest baseball book I've ever read. The stories aren't entirely. Most of them are true. Some of them are stretched. I remember there was the one book, or the one story about Pete Sukforth, who was, I'm pretty sure it was him. Oh, may not have been him. That name's been in my head because I saw it the other day. And I'm thinking it's not him, but there was a player turned umpire. Sukforth became a scout, if I remember correctly, with the Dodgers. But this umpire was talking down to a player, and who was just getting on him, and said, oh, I could bite your head off. To which the player said, well, if you do, there'll be more brains in your gut than there are in your head. And that's in this book. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. And then I had to put the Bill James historical abstract after that, because like that ended up fueling everything I would do with Out of the Park. It would just because I would just want to recreate that for an Out of the Park league. And so like those things. I also put Pete Rose Pennant Fever in there, which was a PC game that came out in 1988. I've always been a very early adopter of technology. Like my dad had a PC in '86, and I learned DOS on it, like as a 6-year-old, because that's what you do. But Pete Rose Pennant Fever was my first baseball game. It wasn't a good game. It wasn't a good game, but it was a baseball game, and it worked. It wasn't like Hardball, which was a really good series for its
I
time.
loved hardball.
RBI Baseball was a good series for its time.
Micro league baseball.
Yeah, yeah. Hardball was my jam until Front Page Sports showed up.
In college, I played a lot of hardball, and then and then Front Page Sports came out, and I was in love. All the Front Page Sport. Well, I mean, both Front Page Sports games. Front Page Sports football is abandonware now.
Yeah, well, so my biggest heartbreak with games, Front Page Sports 99 was they released it. It was my Christmas present. It was like I was so happy to have it. I couldn't wait. We got it, like we had trouble getting it loaded, and then you would get it to like the first game and then just nothing.
Yeah.
And it was because they had fired all the staff. They fired everybody. They gutted the company.
And
I don't know how the game
fixed
got
it.
No, I don't know how the game ever got released. I don't know. And I had that game forever. Like they were requesting that like people return it. And I never did. I never returned it. I just held out hope. One note, and we'll get to your perspective. That Pete Rose Pennant Fever was developed by Dynamics, who developed the Front Page Sports series.
Oh, okay. So it was an early one.
I learned that today. Yeah, I learned that today. That was a thing. Yeah.
That's I think that, sort of early sports books and that sort of thing, I think are huge in that sort of thing. It's funny, I never was into baseball cards. For whatever reason, they never, I didn't mind the bubble gum. I had a lot of Star Wars cards when I was a little kid, but I didn't really have a lot of baseball cards.
If you have any of those laying around, there's a market for those right now. There's a market for everything.
No, I assure you, anything that I had as a child that would be collectible has been destroyed by my actually using it. I read all my comic books, all that stuff. Sort of my earliest formative sports moment was actually my dad, because my dad, he would watch anything, race anything. There's a cable channel now called Speed, and that's all it is just ridiculous things racing. And it's my father.
It's not Keanu Reeves movies all the time.
No, it is not Keanu Reeves movies all the time. And my dad will watch that, and he'll be like, it's big rigs racing up Pikes Peak. Just like ridiculous things. He will watch anything, race anything. And we had a tradition in our house. After my parents got divorced, my dad, every Monday was steak night. And so he would like grill steaks, and they were delicious, and we always looked forward to it. But you had to sit through McNeil Lehrer and Monday Night Football, at least the first half. That was the rule. And the funny thing is, I felt about the same about McNeil Lehrer and Monday Night Football. I was not a fan, but my father he would sit there and he would like explain the game, and I slowly got interested, and I started to recognize people, and then all of a sudden on Sundays during the day, I was sitting with him watching Wide World of Sports, which in the 70s and 80s was like a weird mix of here's cliff diving from Acapulco, and now here's welterweight boxing. It was just a bizarre, like whatever they could get that week thing. And so that is my first one, is just like learning sport. And the funny thing is, my father never liked baseball. He never liked basketball, my two favorite sports. We were living in Texas, so he was a huge, and still is a huge, Cowboys fan.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Nah, whatever.
I mean, he sort of, after the 90s, he sort of got what he deserved there, because it came on before Monday Night Football franchise, but that was always, for whatever reason, it was always you had to watch McNeil Lehrer NewsHour and then Monday Night Football.
Because they're stylistically the same.
Yeah, it was very formulaic. So
one is about being shallow and pedantic. The other is about 3 yards and a cloud of dust. They're the same thing.
Especially in the early 80s. It's funny, before we moved, well, even after we moved to SF, my sort of secondary team was the Houston Oilers. because they would
Mm,
train in the small town in Texas that I lived in, and they also had ridiculous coaches, from Bum Phillips to Jerry Glanville to, they were like a big run and shoot team all the time, and I loved that. And
yeah,
so
they're
I
a
would
lot of
always
fun to watch.
yeah, I'd always try to recreate the run and shoot offense in any football game. Oh man, if you gave me a football game that let me design plays, I would create a play that was offside by at least 3 guys every single time.
Wait, offside by 3? What do you mean?
At least 3 players would be offside.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're playing Canadian football because that's what they do. Like,
No, it would still be, it would be called, but I would just,
yeah,
that was how I designed every play. So
I
what is
remember
your,
Haywood Jeffries with the Oilers. Haywood
yeah,
Jeffries is one of the great sports names. I
freaking
love.
Warren
I
Moon.
Yeah, Warren Moon was great. I really enjoyed Haywood Jeffries though. Like, I remember some of those Oilers teams.
And I also really enjoyed Jerry Glanville. Uh,
Hmm.
I loved that he left tickets for Elvis at every game.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
very funny.
he left comp tickets for Elvis at every game. That was one of his. This was after Elvis was gone. But of course, Jerry
Oh
Glanville
yeah,
would tell you Elvis never died.
yeah. I that checks out with what I know of Glanville. That makes okay. That makes sense.
He was a wacky character. So what your second pick in
All right,
formative
second one
sports moments?
is actual baseball. Game 7 of the 1988 NLCS. I won nothing by the Dodgers. Um, so I've been a Phillies fan forever and ever and ever and ever. My first love was the Mets. Uh, I want to say mainly because of Darryl Strawberry and Mookie Wilson, really Mookie Wilson. Um, but even guys like Tim Tuffle and like Wally Backman, like I know that lineup inside and out. I was a
Howard
big Dwight Gooden
Johnson.
fan. Like Sid Fernandez was the weirdest professional athlete I had ever seen. Um, and like I loved that Mets team. I got in like I really got into the history of the Mets. Like I had a big book that just was the whole history of the Mets. Um, and they trained they did spring training in Port St. Lucie, which was right near where my grandparents had moved to. I never went, but I they were my first love, and like them losing to the Dodgers was really a lesson, um, which you don't
The
really
evils of the
learn at an early
Dodgers.
age of coming to grips that you don't. It doesn't like happy endings aren't the thing. Um, and then that team started to break up shortly after, and I had gotten into Darren Dalton and the Phillies, and they traded Dykstra, and I was an idiot who liked Dykstra at an early age. I mean, he was fun to watch, just the boneheaded moron. Um, and so like I also Harry Callis. Um,
Oh, I love
Harry
Harry
Callis.
Kalas.
Like I really enjoyed the Mets team broadcast team, which they had Ralph Kiner um
Okay, you
for
lose me
a
there.
while.
Ralph Kiner is like a Dadaist.
Like, well, I was 8, but
Ralph Kiner might not have been watching the game he was calling.
he probably wasn't, which made it more interesting.
All right, yeah.
Um, but like their team was fine, but it wasn't Harry Callis. Like I fell asleep to Harry Callis forever and ever and ever. Like I actually have a playlist on YouTube of games that Harry Callis called that I could go and listen to fall asleep to.
I thought it was a playlist of Harry Kalas singing High Hopes,
I mean, well, that's for other things.
because that is what he's famous for.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
sings
Oh,
the song, the weird Frank Sinatra song about an ant in a rubber tree plant. Harry Kalas
yeah.
is known for singing that song.
That actually just came back in the news because his I don't remember if it's a wife or his daughter. I want to say it's his wife. Um, won't let the Phillies use it without paying because
Oh.
she has grievance with the Phillies.
Mm.
Um, And so yeah, it's just put in the chat, which may not be played at the bank after this year. And I think they'll probably come to some agreement, but yeah, like they've kind of like the Phillies are kind of going through a weird thing where they're kind of like erasing like a lot of the things that they have at the bank that highlight the history, like the various parts of the history of the
Right,
ballpark. Like
because they have
after
like walls and things that
yeah,
evoke old stadiums and that sort of thing.
yeah, and like after the All-Star or yeah, after the All-Star game, they have a thing because they're doing the All-Sstar game this year with the 250th birthday. But after that, like there's a very famous clock that sat um out in like right center field, and that's not getting returned, and there's not really any reason why.
Hmm.
And I get it, like at some point you move on, but I mean, it's a franchise that in 7 years will celebrate 150 years as a franchise. Like what I it doesn't make
Yeah,
that much
and
sense.
baseball is such a legacy game that homages to your past are, I think, uh almost de rigueur.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, yeah, Harry Callis was my sleeping soundtrack um growing up.
I
But the
he
Mets were
was
my first love. So
Harry Callis was one of my early impressions. I spent like way too long in college working on Harry Callis saying Mickey Morandini
hmm
because
oh yeah.
nobody could say it like him.
Yeah, you had to. Like I would be in my front yard, work like I hit right-handed. I taught myself out at left-handed because of Darren Dalton and try like Darren Dalton has a very underrated swing. He has a gorgeous swing. It's not Griffey's, but like left-handed swings are typically like they're much more aesthetically pleasing than right-handed swings. I don't know the science behind it, the art behind it. It just is. And
Look no
Dalton's
further
swing
than the thrill.
yeah, it's very underrated. And I would go in my front yard and practice Dalton's swing, and it became an actually decent left-handed hitter I became a switch hitter as a result. So
I am so impressed by people who could copy batting stances. I never was able to, and this is probably why I wasn't ever really good at hitting. I never was able to like stick to a batting stance. I could never figure out like other than I was such a vanilla batting stance.
yeah, I couldn't either. I also had a very long swing. For the two people that just came in here on a raid, um, I I
Oh,
mean I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I apologize.
who did Lone Star? Yeah, Lone Star raided in. Thanks, Lone Star.
Yeah,
Thank you for the raid. Sorry, I'm on a different screen here because I have so many windows open.
I
Um,
have my iPad next to me, so I can see the
there you
chat.
go. So
Um,
my
what's your second pick?
second formative memory, you said 1988. 1988 is actually one of mine, and it's the 1988 World Series because Dodgers A's. I had never had a moment where I wanted both teams to lose, and that was a weird thing for me. Is it like, this is what I'm a sophomore in high school, I think, and I'm watching these games, and I don't have a dog in this fight, and I actually don't like either team. And I started to weirdly cheer for the Dodgers. It was like a strange thing for me that I was like wanting the Dodgers to beat the A's. Uh, and so I was actually slightly happy when Kirk Gibson hits that home run. And it was a very weird, conflicted feeling for me. But it was, it's one of those, it's one of those, it's one of those things you have to get, you learn in sports is sometimes, you don't like either team or you have no dog in the fight. And then can you just say, I just want a good game? Because I think almost never.
The I lived in Hartford.
No,
Like
no,
I moved to
EVC,
New
I
Haven.
know what EVC just did. I know
Oh
what
yeah,
EVC just did.
it's a good thing and should do that more. Um, I moved to New England in 2007. And the first Super Bowl that was had when I, as a New Englander, and I lived in Hartford, was the Patriots Giants one. It was the first one. And in Hartford, you are torn. Like it is half New York, half Boston. And I still am, an Eagles fan. And I just thought, what the hell is this? And then they did it again a few years later. And was I living in New Haven at that time? I don't think I'd moved to New Haven yet, but I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And, uh, now being in Rhode Island, it's way, mostly more Boston, but it's still, I understand that feeling of just, what is this? I was just asked, was I a Whaler fan? They were gone for 10 years before I moved here. They were gone 97. Um, I moved here in '07, but I do have a Whalers sweater, like a jersey. It's not an actual jersey. It's more of a sweater, but it's patterned like a jersey that I got at a Reebok outlet in 2012 that I get compliment on every single time I wear it. It is because that's just what it is here. It's yeah.
The whale never left.
No, they did. They left. Um, they left. But not. I mean, not in spirit. Just in
Every
franchise
other
and players
sense.
and all of that. They left. I grew up a Hershey Bears fan because I grew up right next to Hershey. So like Tim
Right.
Tukey and the guy who coached the Bruce something or other, who coached the Avalanche to a Stanley Cup. I'm pretty sure it was the Avalanche. I don't think he did it with the Capitals, but he coached the Bears to like one of the greatest AHL seasons of all time.
Hmm.
Calder Cup champions. We have the Providence Bruins where we are, and they're a team that exists here, and you can say that about them. They're out of all of the teams in minor league hockey, they are one of them.
They're one of
You
them.
could say
I
that.
always enjoyed. So when I lived in San Diego, I went to AHL games, the San Diego Gulls. But my favorite team was the Indianapolis Ice because their logo was literally just the Bud Ice logo. Like I
Are they
always
still
wondered
called that?
they were called the Indianapolis Ice. I don't know if they still are. Although
That must be
really
a
my
hell of a
favorite
thing.
was the Minnesota Moose because they had adorable
Mhm.
shirts of it looked like Bullwinkle playing hockey. I loved it.
Hartford had the Wolfpack, which wasn't the Whalers.
Well,
Not that.
they tried with the W. Your third formative
All
sports
right.
memory.
All right. So this is where we get the scrub, and this
All
is
right,
where,
scrub player.
I mean, Hollywood's not here, so you'll have to watch us back. You'll have to watch us back. But June 8th, 1989, the Steve Jeltz game. Uh, so this kind of ties in a few things that we've already talked about, because you had talked about making games with cards and like stuff like that. That's what I did with my baseball cards. And actually, there was another game that had a stadium and then cartridges, and you would plug the cartridges into the stadium. And
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what it was called,
Yeah.
but that was a thing, and would play that. But I know exactly where I was June 8th, 1989. I was in my bedroom. I had Harry Callis on. I was not watching on TV. I was listening on the radio. I was making games with my baseball cards, and then the Pirates went up big in that first inning, and 9-0, and it was like, okay, well, this is a thing, but I didn't turn it off. I didn't turn it off. And Von Hayes, and I one of those
Vaughn
people who liked
Hayes.
Von Hayes. I liked Von Hayes. Um, I don't know how he was ever an all-star. He wasn't bad. I mean, you had to have somebody, I guess, and you couldn't have Chris James. What is that? So, Padres star Chris James, for the record. But Von Hayes went deep twice, and then and then there was Steve Jeltz. And Jeltz, 4 homers in his career. 4. He had 2 coming into that game. He had 2. He had 2 homers coming into that game, and then after that, he had 4. He had the fewest home runs, I believe, of anybody who played X amount of games in the 80s. He had the longest streak to start a career. If I wish I had done a little bit more research on him at this point, but I watched the video on him. Like, and there was a video that was brought up of the Dorktown guys who did a thing on this game because the announcer for the Pirates said he would walk back to Pittsburgh if they lost that game when they're up 9-0 in the first, and they lost. They lost that game, and he walked. He did it for charity. It's 305 miles from Philly to Pittsburgh, and he walked it. But that Jeltz game of him going yard twice, and I had his baseball card out, and there's a lot of low numbers on the back of that card because he was terrible. Also, one thing about Steve Jeltz, I'm going to have to look up this. True, he was the first, and I think to this day, only French-born player in Major League Baseball history. Like, he was born in Paris. He might not be the only French player. I think he's the only one born in Paris.
Well, that's still that's a claim to fame. I like when
he's one of a handful of players born in Paris.
Yeah, I think some people are born on like military bases and such, Well, my third pick is also a scrub player, and it's my where franchise just told me we've gone to ads real quick, so we'll wait to do the next pick.
That's fine. I gotta tell you. So okay, I have a little trivia question for you. So Jeltz, I have his Wikipedia. Jeltz holds the record for most games played, at-bats, runs, hits, doubles, triples, runs batted in, walks, and strikeouts among players born in France, and he's second in home runs.
Who is number one?
Who is number one? I will tell you, this player played from 1978 to 1987. He finished with a 239 career average, 26 homers, 93 RBIs. 93 RBIs in his career. Wow.
So he was a backup.
Yeah. But we'll probably get in the Hall of Fame someday.
So he either did something really amazing in one season, or I just looked at chat and I think they spoiled it because Bruce Bochy was born. I didn't know Bruce Bochy was born in France.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Joe. No, yeah, Joe got it. Yeah, he was born in Boussac-Forêt.
Bruce Bochy. That's only the second best weird baseball fact about Bruce Bochy. The best fact about Bruce Bochy is that he has the largest head in baseball history. His hats were specially made, as were his catcher's masks.
Yeah, I believe it. He's got like a Bochy ball of a noggin there.
His head, Bruce Bochy, is famous for his ginormous head. It's funny. I actually learned about Steve Jeltz from Sporer because Sporer did a Steve Jeltz card.
Oh, damn it. Really? That's awesome. When was that done?
He did. Well, you were mentioning, you asked about one hit wonders. He did a whole set of one hit wonders and stuff.
Oh, well then there goes my idea. But that, for a Jeltz card to come back.
That's honestly the reason that I never suggest anything is because Sporer is he's done like anything I could think of, he's already thought of and has done it twice. And that's awesome that he is putting together so many clever sets. He's done it now for several years, so he's kind of he's got the job down. I still think he criminally underestimates Willie Mays, and I'll never forgive the fact that there was not a Willie Mays memorial card. But I think he does a pretty bang up job in terms of getting the cards out there.
Oh yeah, I think so. One little Bruce from his Wikipedia, and then we'll get to your third pick. Houston Astros, 1978-1980. With the Astros, Bochy primarily backed up Alan Ashby, which is a hell of a thing. Though Ashby was pretty decent for a little while. He was behind the plate in Game 4 of the 1980 NLCS against the Philadelphia Phillies when Pete Rose ran him over to score the go-ahead run in the top of the 10th inning. That's it. That's a whole thing on Wikipedia for his Astros days.
Went better for him than it did for Ray Fosse.
Yes. That maybe you could have a set of guys Pete Rose ran over.
Right, yeah. My new theme team is guys Pete Rose trucked.
Yeah.
Well,
your third pick.
My scrub player is a story I've told many times, so I'm not going to belabor it, but my very first favorite player when I first started watching the Giants was the terrible shortstop Johnny LeMaster, who was not good. And I liked him because the diamond vision, the big scoreboard, would actually, when he made an error, it would say Johnny Disaster. And A, I thought that was a cool name. But B, I was like, oh, that poor guy. And so he became my first favorite player. And he holds the distinction of being one of the few major leaguers ever to step up to the plate wearing something that was not his last name on his jersey. Another story I've told many times, but he had the guy make him they had the clubhouse guy put boo on the back of his jersey because, as LeMaster put it, that's what people think my name is. Your fourth pick now.
That's a pretty good pick. We before we started, we talked about Johnny LeMaster for like a half hour.
It's true. I love me some Johnny LeMaster.
My fourth pick comes from 1992, and it's personal. So, there's one 1992, 1993. 1992, throwing a pitch hard. 1993, my stupid curveball. So, my baseball career, I don't know if you want to call it that. I played baseball until I was 38. I went to college to play baseball. Didn't. My arm was trash. My desire was trashed. But I was good. I wasn't good until I was 12, and that's with a caveat. I caught when I was 10. I caught when I was 10. And I was the best damn catcher in the league. Because like when you play Little League, you would have these little fast bastards who they would take the walk. They would take the walk and they would go the first, and then they would just turn and burn, and they're just going the second. And most catchers, it was every single time, it was like, oh, they're doing that again? Oh, no. I was out there, and I was throwing the ball to second as they're turning for first. Like, I shut that ish down, and I was the best catcher in the league, and chickenpox took me out. And then that was when I was 10, and when I was 11 and 12, like, I got too tall to be catcher. I'm 6'3". When I was 13, my doctor said I would end up between 6'3" and 7'4". And son of a bitch. He jinxed it. But so in 92, I was very lanky. And the coaches decided to try and make me a pitcher. And my first outing, I was grooving it because I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't want to overthrow and like hit somebody. And so like I was throwing strikes, and they actually were telling me to stop throwing curveballs, which I wasn't. I just was throwing that slow. I wasn't like but also my natural release had a little bend to it. And so my first outing, I was terrible. And before my second outing, my coach, who ended up being my coach for like Legion Ball and everything, he just said, just let it fly. Just let it fly. And I forget, but for some reason I was ticked off at the other team. like, as 12-year-olds get. They get pissy about something. And I let one fly. And I didn't throw like hard, but I threw hard enough that a kid like went to one knee swinging through it. Like he couldn't, it flummoxed him. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. And I became like a decent pitcher. But like when you turn 13, at least where I grew up in central Pennsylvania, like I grew up, if you remember the Little League World Series, the Redland team of 2015 that won the US title and then got shellacked by Japan, but they just throttled basically everybody in the US bracket. They had several guys who went on the play college ball. Benny Montgomery, who's in the Rocky system, actually was not on that team, but he moved there like right after. That's like where I grew up. I played on the fields where they played on. And like there's a like Sean Abner, who's one of the worst number one picks in history, comes from my old high school. Like he was drafted by the Padres, number one overall in '84. Where I would have gone if I had stayed at the high school I went to, Cumberland Valley. Other players who did a thing are from that. Actually, football note, I coached against LaShawn McCoy when he was in high school. Like, yeah, coached against him in basketball. Ricky Waters went to my sister's school. Like, it's a good area for sports, but when you turn 13, they start to whittle you down, and then not everybody makes a team. And we have 4 teams in our like Hampton Baseball Association. We had 4 teams for 13-year-old, which is, we were a big area. And Skip, yeah, I'm from Harrisburg, grew up in Camp Hill. And Hampton Township is where I played my baseball. And somehow I not only made one of the teams, but they told me I was a 2nd-round pick. And I was like, what the hell? What are you like? Even then I was like, what are you smoking? And it was just on pure potential. And they taught me this curveball that was god awful. It was so god awful, but it was this giant looping thing that, like, my fastball has a natural tail. And then I would just throw this curveball and I would like stop. It's like Fred Flintstone throwing a bowling ball, but I would like just stop and the ball would like flutter out of my hand and just make this big ass curve that would go like.
Was it an eephus pitch?
Almost, but like it wasn't as soft, but like nobody could hit the thing. No, nobody could hit it. It was the damnedest thing.
Did we lose Comey?
No, I'm
you're
still
back.
here.
You're back. You froze for a second.
No. Yeah. So like I'd never been on a winning team in Little League. We were always terrible. And that 13-year-old season, in games that I pitched, we were 12-0. In all the other games, we were 0-7. And we got into the playoffs as like the last seed. And I threw the semifinals and we won that. And then in the championship had to be somebody else because I couldn't pitch. And somehow we won it. And I had 3 hits and I was such an awful hitter. I was so bad at hitting. I actually, I don't know if I still have the stat sheet from 13-year-old, but like I hit 147 for the season. I was 9 for 47 with like 32 strikeouts. But I struck out 64 in 32 innings and had like an ERA of like 1 because nobody could hit that stupid curveball.
You were
and
already
I
a MLB pitcher.
I became a pitcher and went like and did that. I didn't throw that curveball all the time. Like I learned to throw a slightly better curveball, but like that was like the first time I was ever like good at a sport was that. And it kept me going because I was like, I mean, I probably would have been Darwined out at that point because they didn't have like pick up baseball.
Right.
Like if you didn't make it, what are you gonna do? Like it. So that would have been the end if I didn't come up with that curveball, and I played from there 25 years.
My number 4 is I did 1988. Now we go to 1989, where the best season I had ever experienced became the worst season I had ever experienced. The World Series, the Giants A's, was a I mean, all sorts of crazy things happened. The Giants made the World Series, which was unbelievable. They had an amazing season. And then I think it was game 3 of the World Series was the earthquake, or game 2?
I think it was before game 3.
Yeah, it was before game
I
3.
think.
And so we could see from my high school, we could see the blimp over the stick. And when the earthquake hit, I was actually on stage in my high school theater. I was a theater kid, and in as I've told this joke many times, not even a joke, it's a story, but in one of the great moments of theater, the earthquake hits, everything's shaking. From out in the stage, my director goes, "Keep going," which is a classic theater moment. But we all come out, and then we look over and we see the blimp, and somebody goes, "Oh, what's going to happen to the World Series?" And it was wacky, terrible. But
Yeah.
so the Giants don't lead a minute of that World Series, and I, the A's just throttle them. And game 4 of that World Series is the night of a high school dance. And so we're having a dance, and, you'd think I'd be having fun and awkwardly asking girls to dance and standing in a corner. Instead, there were 20 of us out in the hallway where one of the teachers had wheeled the TV out, and we were watching game 4 of the World Series. And there were several A's fans there, and then a bunch of us that were Giants fans. And I just remember the sad walk home after that, the walk to the bus stop after that dance, as the Giants just got destroyed. I was almost like the Charlie Brown sad music could have been playing as I walked away. It was terrible.
Yeah. I have to admit, I was like a low-key A's fan.
They were the
Because
cool team.
I mean, they were from Philly, that's where they started. But also Ricky Henderson. I mean, it was Ricky Henderson.
I hate
that
Ricky
was it.
Henderson so much.
I can understand that.
One of my oldest old man takes, and I've had this take since I was a kid, was I hated him ever since he stole that base and held it up over his head, called himself the greatest. I'm like, it has been a truism throughout my life. Nobody who calls themselves the greatest is the greatest. Other people call you the greatest. You don't call yourself the greatest.
I feel like Ricky is one of the few who could potentially get a pass on that because of all the other things that came out of his mouth. And also, he has one of the few records that will you never say never. But I think it's a toss-up between the stolen base record and the triples record as the records that will never be broken.
Yeah, no, I can't deny his accomplishments, and he's definitely one of the most amazing baseball players out there, but just not for me. It's just not my jam.
I get that.
Your next pick.
All right, this is another personal one because it's formative. This shapes you. I didn't play basketball till I was in 8th grade. I didn't play football until I was in 8th grade. I only played football 1 year. I wanted to play football in 7th grade because they wanted me to come be quarterback because I could throw a football pretty damn well. I could always throw a football. My mom wouldn't let me, but she let me in 8th grade, and unfortunately they had a quarterback, and their coach made me a tight end. Tight end, safety, and defensive end. I could run slowly, but I could run. I could throw. I can catch. I could do those things. I could not block or tackle. And those were the things that they wanted me to do. And I was like, that's not really my jam. But I was a helmet taller than everybody. And the basketball coach found me. And he was a great basketball coach, a guy by the name of Tom Herwig, who was my coaching mentor when I started coaching out of college. And CYO in Pennsylvania is different. it is like an example. Most schools in seventh, eighth grade, you play like, anywhere from 10 to 20 games. They're after school, like or whatever. My eighth grade team went 30-5.
Oh,
We
geez.
played we played we played tournaments on the weekends. We had two like sleepover tournaments up in coal country. Like they had dances and like all the things. We finished third in the diocese. Like they had an NCAA style 32 team dio tournament after the
Wow.
season. And the winner went to states. Like they had a state tournament for eighth graders. I remember one team from coal country, they had remember eighth grade basketball, they had four 1,000 point scorers because they started counting them from fifth grade and they put it in the school booklet. Like there's a reason why Catholics are good at basketball. Like they're just good at it. And
Guilt?
PA, like the high school that I am graduating from, Trinity, they just won their first state title in 23 years at the boys level. Um, but they are a small school power in PA because they're just always they have great coaching. Like Larry Koslak's been there for 40 years now. Um, but they
I
also
guess
just they
if guilt were the reason Jews would be good at basketball, and we are not traditionally.
yeah, I think it would be a lot of wondering why the ball bounced that way. And then apologizing for it not going in. I don't know, but Catholics they're just good at it, and it's just stunning. So like we went 30-5. The team that won the Dio was 44-4, and they were the team with four 1,000 point scorers. How you play 48 games as an eighth grade team astounds me. That's why I remember it. It astounds me. So anyway, first like I was terrible. I was terrible, but my coaches like taught me the stuff from this, like all the basics. Like they did it right. But they also taught me to be a post player, which is not what I wanted to be. Like I wanted to be what Steph Curry became. Like that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do that. My first shot, I go in to my first game, and within 5 seconds, I stole the ball and I'm dribbling down the court poorly, probably. But I'm like, how am I going to take my layup? I'm like, oh, I'll do a finger roll. And I go to do the finger roll, and the thing just explodes out of my hand and goes over the backboard. Like I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. That's what happened. So I was not good, but I became a starter because I could rebound, I could defend, I could pass, like I could do those things. But they didn't want me to touch the ball. So first round of Dawson tournament, first minute of the game, I go to try and swipe the ball out of the dude's hands, and I dislocated my ring finger.
Ow.
Like, I
Ow.
didn't realize it. I didn't realize it at first. I'm just like, what the hell happened? Because Catholics also swear up a storm, and I grew up in a household that swore up a storm. And I'm running down the court. And I'm just seeing my finger just sticking up, just sticking up right here. And I'm like, oh, snap. Well, I'm more like, oh shit. But I yelled to my coach. I'm like, I got to come out. You got to pull me. And my dad is seeing the hoopla as to what's going on, and me taking myself out of the game. And he comes over, and I'm walking over to the trainer, who's just an old guy at a table. That's literally what it was. Like it was just an old guy at a table, and he was like, "Well, I'm a trainer," and he looks at it and he's like, "Well, that doesn't look too good." And I'm like, "Okay, that's how do you do today?" Um, but my dad, who played football in the '50s in Philly, um, he said, "Here, give it to me. I'll pull it back in because that's what you did." And he didn't have any tobacco juice to spit on it, so that's the second remedy. And
Thankfully.
I looked at him. I looked at him and I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll pull it back in." And it was the first time I ever swore at my dad. And I said, "The hell you will." And I gave the hand of the trainer, the old guy at the desk, and I said, "Tape it up." And he just taped it up. And it's still sticking out. It was still sticking out. And I went back in the game because I have a history of doing this dumbass stuff. Like I I do this. And I saw that we went to an ad, but I'm finishing the story anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Taping my hand is what taught me how to shoot, because it forced me, like when you tape it, well, the rest of your hand has to go straight like this.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 The guide is, yeah. You
And
kind of got, yeah.
yeah, and it taught me my guide hand. and I scored like 12 or 14 points that game, like, and on jumpers. Like, it's the only time in my life that I ever came out to anything with a standing ovation. But it learning that oh, I can shoot now, uh, fueled my basketball, and if it
Mm.
probably is more formative than anything in my sports playing life as it is. It's the most
Yeah,
formative thing possible.
there's something interesting about learning you're good at something. Like that moment when you have the wait a minute, this is hard and I'm good at it is an interesting sort of developmental moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh,
realistically, I have my dad to thank because, you know, if he didn't Neanderthal his way over, be like, here, I'll pull it back in. Like, I may not have taped it up. Like, that may be a different story. I don't know.
yeah, that's there's all sorts of weird sliding doors moments in there that can happen. Well, let's see. I'll do my fifth pick while we're on the ad very quickly because mine are, it's not about me.
I'm typing out the thing into the chat.
I see. So, uh, more baseball formative moments. This time, my mom, and I've told this story before as well, but when I was a kid, we got free tickets to the Giants a lot because we had good attendance, because the Giants didn't have good attendance. And so we would get free upper deck seats. And my mom took us to a ball game. And we made the mistake of telling my mom that a baseball game was 9 innings. And she had no interest in baseball. She sat in the upper deck and read the whole time and had a couple beers. And we were watching the game, enjoying it, and it was tied at the end of 9. And my mom goes, "That's 9." And I still can hear her book like slamming shut. And we're like, no, there's going to be more baseball. She's like, "It's 9." And we're going down the massive concrete ramp at Candlestick Park as Kevin Mitchell hits a game-winning home run in extra innings. And I'm just like,
Oh God.
no. And that the reason that is a formative moment for me is because I became super superstitious about not leaving games early. I don't like to leave a game early. I mean, if it's a spring training game or an exhibition game, sure. But like
They have ties.
if I'm if I'm in a real baseball game, I'm getting there early and I'm leaving at the end of it, and that is that's a big thing for me.
Yeah. I hear you there. There's only one game I've ever left early. It was Sox Royals in 2016. Yeah, 2016. It was a historic beatdown of the Red Sox. Like, I think the Royals put up 21 runs at Fenway.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I mean, they got destroyed. And the only reason that I left early was because the train back to Providence, the last one, left at like 11 o'clock. And you had to, like, otherwise you were screwed. Like,
Yeah.
and so like we had to go. But otherwise, no, I'm not leaving a game early.
Your next pick.
Going ahead a little bit in time. I guess, I mean, this is formative for different reasons. Throwing out Fred Willard, 2 down 3. So after undergrad, I did undergrad at Bloomsburg. I put in the chat. I went there to play bass. Bloomsburg is the only town in Pennsylvania, and they let you know it. It's they have a town fair, which is the biggest congregation of hillbillies and town people to show up in a place where they find. I think it's like Wyoming of the East. Like, Wyoming is where I think every ad campaign from 20 years ago has just become popular. And like Bloomsburg, they had Def Leppard when I was there at the town fair, like, just for reference. So I went there to play baseball and then I was offered a spot to play basketball because I took a basketball class and the coach had seen me, and I didn't because they had 8 guards coming back. Like I wouldn't have played, like, but I should have done it for the coaching, and that was a thing. But like after undergrad, we moved to my then girlfriend turned ex-wife. We moved to Santa Monica because she got a job like nursing shortages galore. She got a job at UCLA Medical, and we moved out there because. And I was playing basketball out there, but they don't have baseball in Santa Monica. It's all softball. It's all softball. It's insane. Like I could not find a baseball league at all, but they had softball leagues everywhere, and they had pickup softball in Venice Beach on Saturdays. Just a group that got together and they played softball. And I learned this from one of the umpires who ran the pickup softball like in the league I was playing in Santa Monica. And so I started going, and I'm standing at shortstop one day, as one does, and I saw out in the distance, like this was in a neighborhood, and going along the street that was toward the end, like maybe 500 feet away, was the cleanest 70s Cadillac you've ever seen. It wasn't gaudy. It wasn't like any sort of blinged up or anything. It was clean. It was just clean. And that's what stuck out. It just was a clean ass car. And I'm like, that's interesting. And maybe 5-10 minutes after that, there's a guy who's walking from the distance, like from where the car had come, was out of sight, didn't see where they parked or whatever. But there's this guy walking by, like walking toward the field, and I'm standing there, and it's starting to dawn on me that son of a bitch, this is Fred Willard. Like this is Fred freaking Willard, who is coming to the field, and I start fanboying up. Like I'm freaking out. Now,
so how did you know it was Fred Willard? Like what year is this?
This was January 2003. He has, and I say this about myself. I have a recognizable head. He has a recognizable head. You see the head, you see the hair, you see the general walking style.
I'm just more interested that you would immediately clock Fred Willard. Like that's a pull.
Well, so I've only ever fanboyed one time in my life, and it came at Dodger Stadium the summer before when I met John Kruk at a concession stand. He was standing in front of me. My ex and I were standing there like looking at him. He's in a suit. And looking at him like, is that like, and I just told her, I was like, go buy baseball and get a pen. Just go buy baseball, get a pen, and I'll hold him. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I like, he started walking and I hadn't even ordered food. And so like, I ran behind him and I was like, excuse me. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, did anybody ever tell you look a lot like John Kruk? And he's like, well, how you doing? And I was like, oh my God, 93 Phillies. Like, and I'm just freaking out. I'm freaking out. I have the ball that he autographed. It's over on the shelf of all the things. But I had only ever fanboyed like once. And now here comes Fred Willard. And Fred Willard is a comedic genius. And I used to participate in, he was in a suit because he was working for Fox Sports. It did have 2 or 3 mustard stains. No, it didn't. It was actually relatively clean. He looked like John Kruk in a suit. It's a weird thing that you wouldn't expect to see it's like Loch Ness Monster. It's weird. But Fred Willard. So I participated in e-wrestling, which LB did as well. That's how we met a long time ago. We were in a very popular thing. Group back in the day. It was on WWE television. It was bizarre as I say that, but it was true. And I used to write comedy characters. In fact, I had a comedy writing troupe called We Are Four Idiots. That was me and a couple other guys. And our whole story was that they had closed the company, but they didn't tell all of the jobbers and curtain jerkers and stuff. And so they kept going around to empty arenas and kept doing their wrestling thing for nobody. And that was our whole story. And we ran with it. And we used Fred Willard's character from Best in Show as the commentator. often as like one of the big time commentators, because that's one of the funniest characters in the history of anything is Fred Willard as the commentator in Best in Show. And now he's walking toward me, and I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. We didn't interact during the game because he was on the other team. And the game went by, and afterward I'm just like, do I go say something? Like, what's the etiquette for this? I don't know. I'm a 22-year-old dumbass who doesn't know anything about anything. And he saved me because he walked up to me. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, I wasn't able to get my shoulder worked out during the game. Like, do you have a few minutes? Like, can we throw?" And I'm like, "Okay, like, yeah, we can throw." And it turns out he had been in that game for years, decades. Uh, he was gone because he was filming American Wedding, which is the third American Pie movie. And so, like, they finished filming, and then he comes back and he's playing. And a guy, like, and that week, this is why I remember this. Like, that week, a guy who had been in that game for a long time died. He died of a heart attack. He was 52. Um, and it was a sudden thing. Like, obviously, as heart attacks are. It was very sudden. And Fred starts talking about this guy. Like, I didn't know him. Like, I never played with him. I had only been in the game for like a couple of months. But he's talking about him and talking about like the moroseness of life, and like, just he's having the
As you guys are
deepest
having a
conversation.
catch.
Yeah, as we're having a catch. We're having a catch, and he's talking about this heavy stuff, and all I could think about was, I'm having a catch with Fred Willard. Like, this is the greatest thing. And like, what am I going to contribute to that conversation? Like, that sucks. Like, I can't contribute anything to that. You just let him talk. And afterwards, I got a picture with him, and then I would proceed to piss him off every week after that. So Fred, when he came back to the game, he was 63. He was 63, and he had a swing. It was a fine swing, but he had no power behind it. He hit it to me at shortstop nearly every time. Wouldn't be a hard ground ball, just to hit it to me. And I never wanted to throw him out. I never wanted to throw him out. But then it was the game, and I had to throw him out. But I would deliberate, and so he would think that I was showing him up, and I wasn't showing him up. I just didn't want to throw him out. So he would get mad, as he should have. But that was Fred Willard, and that's like, I have a deep love of comedy. As I've told you, a couple of things that I've managed to do somehow in my life.
Yeah.
And that is like those things coming together in a weird mash of comedy and sports. So yeah, that will always stick with me.
I'm a big Fred Willard fan as well. I sadly never got to play sports with anyone famous. Although that would be weird. Like, I'd just be afraid of hurting them or something. Because so my number six, my sixth formative sports moment is how I got the nickname 911. In college, we played a lot of basketball, and I was a 5'10" post player, and I was good in the post, but I had active elbows, and my buddy Matt, once he coined the term 911 because he said, somebody's getting hurt. It might be you, it might be the other guy, but anytime we play, somebody's getting hurt. And it was pretty true. And but I think about those games all the time, and about how, in a stupid little liberal arts college in Vermont, the basketball court was a slab of concrete way off outside in a copse of trees. It was actually really beautiful. The Bennington did not have sports facilities. They just had this one probably not. We put nets on every semester, but it was out in the middle of nowhere, beautiful, but a little bit of a hike to get there. You got your, you warmed up jogging out to the court to play, and then we'd play until it got dark. And like we even tried playing by Carlight, which was not a great idea.
Oh, those are fun though. I've done that. Those are fun.
Yeah, as long as you don't look down and get blinded. But yes, my college nickname was 911 because Matt, that friend, he like hurt his ankle. I was not involved, but we were like, he's like, I think I need x-rays. And so we got him to his car and we were going to drive him to the hospital in Vermont. And we get there and we're helping him out of the car. And I shut his thumb in the finger. I shut his thumb in the door, I should say. And I still remember he doesn't react. He just goes, Ez. And gets me to open the door. And I'm like, well, at least you're already getting x-rays.
Oh God. Yeah, that triggered a thing from 4th grade where I had my hand shut in a car door and I didn't know. I started to walk away. And then it dawned on me that, oh no. And then I started screaming. And the mom, it wasn't my parents, I was with a friend, and the mom panicked and dropped the keys under the car. And
Oh no.
and it was comedic and just terrible. Yeah, so like I have such a phobia of hands around doors and stuff because of that. I ran into somebody with active elbows during an intramural league game, a rugby player who decided to use active elbows on a free throw. I was informed of how the rest of the game went because of the concussion that I had.
Right.
Apparently I put on a performance for the ages.
You should better
because I put myself back on the court and sent the game to overtime on a buzzer beater, sent the game to the second overtime on a shot with like a couple seconds left, sent the game to the third overtime on a 3, and then won the game in the third overtime on another 3, and then went to the hospital and got completely reamed out, me and my roommate, by my ex. And yeah, active elbows indeed.
Got the wake up every hour thing. So the 7th inning is the non-baseball. So we've done some, but what's a non-baseball formative memory?
Oh crap, we should have done the okay, well, all right. Because I have my heartbreaks here.
Well, do that one then.
Okay, so my heartbreaks are all, well, one of them is a non baseball, but what I've written down, and I'll talk about the non-baseball one. Okay. Touch 'em all, Joe, 93 World Series Game 6.
Yes.
Ryan Howard tears his Achilles, NLDS Game 5 2011. And the evolution of my fandom, and I put that there, and I'll talk about the thing that comes in the middle of that. So like the 93 World Series, I was 13, and I lived and died with those 93 Phillies. And when Mitchie Poo threw that like I still have a hard time, like I've gotten over it, obviously, because time heals wounds mostly, but like I don't like watching that highlight. Just don't like watching it. And a 13-year-old, that just guts you. That just destroys you.
Well, you don't have a framework to deal with something like that.
No, and the Phillies were god awful until 93. Like 93 was an aberration, probably built on steroids, but it was that 93 team doesn't happen ever. It just doesn't.
Well, and as a kid, it's almost easier if the team is bad, because then it's just baseball's fun. And then all of a sudden there are stakes and things matter, and you don't have really the toolkit to deal with those emotions.
I'll be honest with you. I think I had mature Like I just felt like it was all gravy because like it was a lot of the 92 team and you're like, what is this? Like they're winning? Like it was house money. And then they beat the Braves and you're like, what? Like they just beat that rotation? And then there's the Blue Jays and they took them to game 6 and it still crushed my heart. But in 2011, you know, the Phillies, it was the best Phillies team in history. They had the four aces. Um, and they were expected to win the World Series. I would, you know, without spoiling things, like I was at the parade in '08. It spoils a little bit later. Um, you know, I had driven down from Connecticut for that. And I drove down for game 5. I don't really know why. I just wanted to be in Harrisburg for game 5. Like I just wanted to watch it in a bar in Harrisburg with friends. Actually, I do know why. I was going through a shit time of my life, and that will lead into the next pick. But I drove down there for game 5, and then Chris Carpenter throws the game that Chris Carpenter throws. They score a run in the first. They score a run in the first, and that's it. I think it was Rafael Furcal who scored the run in the first, and that was it. And you're watching it, and you can't even like, and this is why I say it's the evolution of my fandom. I couldn't be mad at it. You couldn't be mad at it because he threw such a great game. And it's not like the Phillies were bad. You know, it was 1-0. Like it was a great game. And you just it's like, okay, like that sucks. But Ryan Howard tearing his Achilles on the final play of that series was the end of the era. And you knew it. You knew it was the end of the era. And that also broke my heart. The one that comes in between those is the 2003 NFC Championship game. Philadelphia Eagles, Carolina Panthers. This wasn't 01 when they went up against the Rams, who would lose to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and they almost beat the Rams.
I believe.
Yeah, well, the Eagles lost to the Rams in 01. They had a chance to win. They lost to the Bucks in 02, before the Bucks destroyed the Raiders. Actually, Rich Gannon, I grew up with Rich Gannon's nephew, so like I felt like I had a little connection to that. And also, I think John Ritchie was on that team. John Ritchie, fullback for the Raiders and Eagles, went to my high school. I brought him up in chat. His mom was my 6th grade English teacher. And so the 03, I had just gotten married. The 03 championship game, I had just gotten married. And we both had a bit of money that we wanted to do something. Like each of us wanted to do a thing with. And my thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to try and go to the NFC championship game. And maybe like 2 days before the game, I found a ticket, somehow some VIP ticket that was actually like reasonable for the event. It was like $250, which yeah, it's expensive, but like this is the year that the Eagles are going to finally win. It's third time's the charm, right? You know, they're going to win. And I go, yeah, like I said, Rams, Bucks, and Panthers. Before the game, like the Steelers were in the other game. They were playing the Patriots, and there was a chance of an all PA Super Bowl. Before the game, they had an all you can eat cheese, like an event, like, again, this is VIP, all you can eat cheesesteak thing, which was great. It was amazing. It was amazing. I went in the club because it was freezing cold that day. It was absolutely frigid. I went into the club shop before the game. I met Tommy McDonald, who signed my ticket, told me how happy he was that I was there. He didn't give a shit that I was there, but it was Tommy McDonald, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Like everything up until kickoff was the greatest thing I'd ever had in sports. And then kickoff happened. And it was the worst from that point forward. And I could tell you the exact moment where it's like, oh crap, it's gonna be one of those days. Eagles had a 3rd and 1 at midfield, first drive of the game. They had a 3rd and 1. I think they had put a couple first downs together, but they're 3rd and 1 at midfield. And they ran a play where McNabb ended up throwing like a deep post to like, I think it was Deuce Staley or Buckholder or somebody, to a running back that was like 10 yards overthrown, which was great because he would throw 3 picks on the day. Like just was garbage. Like the whole team was garbage. They lost 13-3, and it was the longest drive home. The only saving grace from that game, is that because of that game, I'm in NFL 2K5, which is the ESPN game that's legendary. I'm somehow in that game. I'm somehow in that game as like a fan cutscene. I learned this. I learned this from a game preview. I believe it was either on IGN or Operation Sports, where they just had screenshots of the game, and one of them was my face.
2K5? It's possible
Yeah.
Rich Grisham wrote that.
Really?
He used to write for Operation Sports.
Oh, I may have to.
I think by
ask him.
I think by 2005 he might have already moved on. But yeah, Rich, that's actually, I met Rich long ago on Usenet, comp.sys.pc.ibm /sports./game. Like, he would post in there and I would post in there.
Interesting. I wrote some previews for Operation Sports later on for Out of the Park. But in 05, I was just a fan. I was just a fan at 1 a.m. staring at my face in somehow Green Bay Packers wear, because they could put you in anything. If you're a thing, and like they have the thing where you have the ticket, you agree that your likeness could be used in something, whatever. I woke up my then wife at 1 a.m. But like, you have to look at this, like, because I thought I was going crazy, and she was exhausted and was like, why are you waking me up? And I showed her the computer and she said, why are you in a video game? And I was like, I know. I actually wrote Sega about this. I just asking, like, is this a thing? And they threatened legal action against me for pursuing it. Like, that was a thing. And I just, yeah. So I'm in a video game, and actually there's actually one other offshoot of this. I just realized like 2 nights ago, because I was looking back through like old Facebook Messenger chats, like for I don't even know why. I think I was looking for like one specific thing that I couldn't find. But in 2015, I had a chat with Shane Gillis. The comedian that is pretty well known these days. I grew up with his sisters. I grew up with Kate. I grew up with Sarah. Like, I've known the family since I was in like 6th grade, and I actually I coached at the high school where we all graduated from. I coached there in 2000, from 2004 to 2006, and he graduated in 05. So like, we actually we knew each other through that, and I knew him through the family. But he had won like best comedian in Maryland. He had won some competition, and I found that out, and I texted him on Facebook Messenger, and he wrote back, and we had a conversation. And he's in NBA 2K15. He's in that game, and we had a conversation about that. And I saw that like 2 nights ago, and I'm like, that's the most random thing I could see, is that conversation. That was weird. So funny. Anyway, I've rambled on. Your 7th pick, sir.
It's funny you mentioned parades, because my non-baseball one is a parade. We moved to California from Texas. My parents got divorced, and my mom and my stepdad came out to San Francisco, and I hated it. I was cold all the time. I slept in a jacket. We lived on a street with a streetcar, and it kept me up at night. The noise, like, I was used to small town Texas kind of. And then 1981 happened, and the 49ers blitz to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl, and I've already established my mother, not a sports fan. And my mom, out of nowhere, goes, Nick, my stepdad, get the car. We're gonna go drive in the parade. And we drive downtown San Francisco, and my mom, we end up in North Beach, the Italian neighborhood, along Columbus. I don't like that game, Cardinals fan. And my mom like opens the sunroof of our Volvo and like pushes me up there and has me start like cheering along with people. And for what, and like that was the moment when I fell in love with San Francisco, as we were in a traffic jam on Columbus Avenue. uh it was a beautiful moment. I don't know why
That's yeah.
it you know, and I don't know what made her do that, because that was the least her thing she's ever done. All right, two more picks.
Well, yeah. All right. That's a great memory. I have a parade to talk about in a bit. My eighth pick is this.
Oh, look at this.
I've titled this the best game I've ever thrown at the lowest point of my life. Uh, October 23rd, 2011. Uh, so I was in grad school, getting my master's in education, elementary education at Fairfield. Um, and I was in a relationship that was coming up on 4 years when Memorial Day weekend of 2011, uh, my girlfriend at the time, uh, said that she had fallen for somebody else, and um, and that was it. That was it. Uh, it wasn't something that like she intended on having happen. I look at breakups different. Like my ex-wife is married to my best friend in high school, and I love them. Like they're both friends of mine to this day. Like I look at stuff like this very very differently than other people. Um, like it's rational. They were made for each other. Like that's like they're married to this day. Like they have two wonderful kids. My ex-girlfriend married to the guy that she fell for, and they have three kids, and like life happens, and but I was prepared for the divorce. I was not at all prepared for this.
Mm.
I was about to start student teaching, um, and now I had to uproot myself in a state where I mean I knew my baseball team. I knew my classmates at Fairfield, but they're an hour away. Like I had to uproot myself completely. Um, and I was doing my student teaching in New Haven, which is about 45 minutes south of Hartford. It's the other big city in the state. There's Bridgeport, Waterbury, whatever. But I didn't know anybody in New Haven, and now I got to move there. Um, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was also dreadfully out of shape. Like I was going through bad depression. Like there's a reason she broke up with me. Like it wasn't just that she fell for this guy. Like I had my part in it. Um, but also there's this baseball season going on. I was playing Sunday baseball in this league up Manchester, Connecticut, and I was a pitcher, first baseman. And I played a little bit of other places, but pitcher and first was my thing. Um, and I was pitching well, but I also like wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I was pitching well, and the playoffs get around, and we get into the playoffs, and I catch fire. And there was a team that had me, you know, beat. They would hit me pretty well, and we faced them in the semifinals, and they started hitting me well, and then all of a sudden they just stopped hitting me well. They stopped hitting me well. Like, and the playoffs were best of three, and I pitched game two, and we had one game one, and we beat them 5-2 after I just completely shut them out for the last 5 innings. I pitched a complete game and the game. We go to the championship. And the championship was this team named the Royals. And they had this guy who was 6'8" and about 290. And he's a pitcher. He played college ball. His name's Shane Legary. Hell of a hitter. Just a great hitter. They had a couple of college players on their team, but Shane was the guy and he hit third. And we faced them on this day, October 23rd. And we had a guy who was our ace who threw really well, but would get wild. And he got a bit wild and we lost game one. And again, it's best of three. So now I'm pitching with our season on the line. And Shane comes up in the first inning. I get the first 2 outs, and I go 0-2 on him. Now they all knew me as a junk baller. Like I threw a couple different curveballs. I had perfected that slow curve that I talked about earlier. I actually perfected it to where it looks like a regular curveball, and then I just like it's a regular motion, but I just nothing comes out. And it's like a 40-mile-an-hour curveball, and it just would screw with people. And so like I had worked Shane with um a slider and a hard curve. And so he's figuring on the slow curve. And I paint a fastball on the outside corner, just perfect, just freeze him. And that's when I knew like I had my ish that day. Like I had my game. And the line, if you couldn't see it, complete game, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, no walks, 1-0 win. I alluded to the
That's
Chris
dramatic.
Carpenter game. I alluded to the Chris Carpenter game and game 5. That was a week or two before this game, and it's basically the same line.
Wow.
We scored our run in the first inning, just like the Cardinals did against the Phillies, and they got a runner on second base. The Royals in this game, they got a runner on second base, and I stranded him. I left him on third to end the game. And it's probably it was the greatest game I'd thrown in like 20 years. Like I threw some games in high school that were good, but that with all this stuff that I was going through, was just, I mean, like that's why you play sports is for moment. Like they don't come that often. Like there's a reason they stand out. That was actually during the time where like I ended up losing like 100 pounds. Which is I don't need to lose that much now, but I need to get back in the shape badly. And I can't because of injuries and it's driving me nuts. But like
I can't
I was
because
a
of
completely different
donuts.
player. What's that?
I can't because of donuts.
That's another aspect. That's a thing. Um, I could eat the donuts when I was running a lot, but I can't run now, and it's very frustrating. But like I was a completely different player in 2012 because I dropped all the weight and I'm playing center field and like I'm run everywhere and all this from like high school I was doing that, but like just to do that in like that really fueled me and was really formative on like what I can do. And so
Well,
that's
and
why I
also
stuck it on this list.
it's really nice to have a moment of catharsis during time when times are rough like that. When you need a win, to get a win is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was a very high point, but also like a very emotional point.
Mm.
Um, because at the end also I went home uh alone to like,
Yeah, yeah,
and so
yeah.
like I was going like I was over the relationship, but I wasn't over um like where my life was at that point. Like my New Haven days were not good days.
Yeah,
Grateful
it's a
for them, I
weird
guess,
world.
but they weren't good. Yeah.
It's a weird world, and it makes you wonder like how major league athletes are able to sort of bifurcate their personal life and their professional life, because it's so easy to bring like, I yelled at my kid today to the park and all of a sudden you're going over or something.
I mean, in a way, I almost think it's easier because of the routine of it all. Like you have your things that you get into and you get into your mindset, and you're at the park and I mean we're human, so I'm sure to some point most players can't shut it all out, but you're at work
The
and
Wade Boggs School of Therapy.
yeah, that
Just
and
do the
drink
same thing
120
every day.
beers. Yeah.
My number 8, is very easy and very fast, but the most amazing moment I think I've ever had as a fan, Madison Bumgarner in the 2014 World Series.
That's a
Uh,
good one.
just being, uh, I, so to sort of tie it back to what you were saying, I was alone at that time, and I wanted to experience that around people. And so I went to a local. I don't drink. I don't like bars. I don't like drunk people. I'm not a fan of any of that. I went to a local sports bar, me and a friend, and just it was such a communal, joyous moment to be a part of, and I'll never forget that moment. It was amazing. That seeing him come out of the bullpen. Oh, oh, love
I
it.
can, that would have to, like, I don't have that. That's a really good moment. That's, yeah.
All right, your
Actually,
last pick.
I've one sort of like that. Matt Stairs rips one into the night. That's one. I was going to put that on the list,
Oh yeah.
but that's also
Matt
the most
Stairs was a
predictable
fun.
pitch in history. Everybody knew that that fastball was coming. Everybody knew Broxton's not capable of throwing something else, and like everybody knew that was coming. Everybody knew that was coming. That still, but still just an amazing moment. And what people forget is that Victorino tied the game 2 batters before that with a 2-run
Nos
jack.
Base
Like that
doesn't
one gets
forget.
overlooked. No,
Nos Base loves him some Shane Victorino.
I'm a big Shane Victorino fan as well. Um, my last one actually ties into that. October 1st, 2007. I was my first official day living in New England. I quit my job over fax because my girlfriend said don't go back. Because like we met, like I met, like my wife and I met over Match. And neither one of us really wanted to go on the date. Like this was in 2018. And I'm grateful that we both end up doing that. I wouldn't have met her had I not met the woman who left me for the guy in 2011 at a house party in Harrisburg in 2007. Yeah. And I found out that she was an opera major at University of Hart, at the Hart School at University of Hartford. And I was trying to get her to do opera versions of rap songs because, you know, that's what you do when you're in your 20s. But we had hit it off and then connected over MySpace a couple days later it's a really odd, convoluted story. But we ended up dating with her in Hartford and me in Harrisburg, which is about a 6-hour drive. And I would go up, like we would go back and forth on weekends and just figuring it out. She had one more year to go at Hart, and I was working as a manager and work therapy supervisor for Salvation Army, and that was going nowhere fast because that, as nonprofit in that realm can go, you're making no money and wearing many hats and dealing with many stresses and making no money. And one day she said, just don't go home. And that was September 30th, 2007. And so I quit my job over fax. She's like, we'll figure it out. And my first day was October 7th. And there were 2 games that mattered that day. There was Phillies Nationals and there was Marlins Mets. And I was like, oh, well, I'll get to watch a Phillies game, because the Phillies had just come back from 7 down with 17 left to go to catch the Mets in a historic collapse. And in a sign that I was no longer in Pennsylvania, I had to watch the Marlins and Mets because when you're in Hartford, the Mets come on. The Phillies don't come on. The Mets come on. And I was like, I'm very, very worried about this. And then the Marlins scored like 7 off Tom Glavine in the top of the first. And I'm like, I'm not worried about this anymore. But I was also in New England on the day the Phillies won the NL East in a historic comeback. I was actually at a Phillies Mets game that season. That was actually a big game in the Phillies turnaround. The Mets almost got a 4-game sweep at the bank that would have buried the Phillies, but the Phillies won the last game of that series with Kyle Kendrick, and I'm pretty sure Victorino homered and Jimmy Rollins homered in that game, and it turned them around. And we're on an
Alameda's
ad
own
break.
Jimmy Rollins. He's from the town
Yeah.
I live in.
Oh, really? That's awesome. That's
Alameda.
very cool.
Our claim to fame in Alameda is Willie Stargell and Jimmy Rollins and Dontrell Willis.
That's quite the trio. That is quite the trio. Um, I'll finish like it's on an ad break, but I'll just keep going. I mean, why not? Um, I was at the '08 parade when they won because I
Oh,
went. I went by myself. I have a sign that's up on my wall over there that is from that parade, and I went and I enjoyed that by myself. Um, I drank a little bit. Like I don't drink now. Like it just I did a dry January and just never went back. Like I just
mm.
whatever. Um, but I was at City Hall when they all went by, so I got to see them. I didn't go to the park. Um, I had to get back, but I was able to go, and that was amazing. And then the third triumvirate of this last one is the 2018 Super Bowl, because the only thing that is better or on par with the Phillies winning the World Series is the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And that one I watched uh, at my apartment in Mystic, Connecticut by myself. I refused to go out. I refused to be out because I just I couldn't. I mean, I would be in a sea of Patriots fans first of all, and I'm not. I don't like talking trash. Like I'm not. That's not my jam. I just I've grown out. It never has been my jam. Like unless I'm with friends, like I'm just not. I think sports conversations and political conversations are one and the same, and that they typically just devolve in the pissing contest. And I'm like, I'm not here for that.
Mm.
Um, so I watched the Super Bowl by myself, and they won in one of the just greatest games ever, Super Bowl games ever. Um, and I didn't know what to do. I did not know what to do. I just sat there, and my dad texted me, um, with congratulations, they finally did it, and I just didn't know how to respond. It was just it was like the most surreal thing. It's almost as surreal as like the beatdown the Eagles put on the Chiefs in 2024, but it was like they beat Tom Brady at his best
Mm.
and won the game that somebody had to lose. But I celebrate it by myself, which is kind of like how I like do my sports now. Like, I'm a UConn fan. I'm a lifelong UConn fan. Because of Danielle Marshall and honestly the old Husky logo. The old Husky
Warriors
logo I
great
love.
Danielle Marshall.
Yeah, he's from Reading, Pennsylvania. Um, and so like I really got to the Huskies. Also, the one thing I didn't put on this list is UConn Tennessee won, which
Oh
was
yeah.
in 1995. I came home on a snow day. We had a snow day, like early dismissal, and I got home just in time for that game to tip off. And it was UConn's first national champion, undefeated. Rebecca Lobo, Jen Rosati, Nikisha Sales, like oh God, Kara Walters. I'm not oh my God, the she was from overseas. I'm not gonna remember her name. That's gonna bother me. But like that team was amazing. And I
And a
like
loaded Tennessee team as well.
yes. I was fortunate in that the high school I went to had a great girls team, like, and we commingled. So like it wasn't like, oh my God, girls are playing basketball good. Like, no, it was a completely different level, and it was amazing. Um, but that 2018 Super Bowl, I just watched in my house, like not knowing what to do with myself, which is
Mm.
kind of how I do sports now. Like I remember the UConn story, like UConn lost last night. Um, and I just said Michigan was the better team because they were the better team. UConn did exactly what it needed to do to win that game. They had like, and I coached the team just like that UConn team, a defensive team that could struggle offensively.
Mm.
I coached the high school CYO team, and we were last. Like before I came aboard, I was the assistant for 2 years, and we were last like those 2 years. And then I took over, and we played man to man. And I said, we're going to hold teams to 45 points, and we're going to get just enough offense, and we're going to win games. And we finished um, second in the league, and we played for first. We played for first place. And I told the team ahead of time again. I said, if we hold them to 45, we win. Like that's what I told my staff. We lost 49-46, And it
Mm,
was because the other team hit two shots from beyond half court. The first one was at the end of the first half. The second one was one from the opposite free throw line at the end of the third quarter that gave them their first lead, and we never recovered. And it's the only game that I've ever cried in front of my players after the game because I felt so bad for them because they played so hard and just didn't get it done that day.
yeah.
Um, and that was that UConn team last night. Is everything every chance they had, Michigan had an answer, and that's just what it is, and that's what it is, and that's my mindset on sports now. And I think the 2018 Super Bowl kind of was formative in that because I'm like, I can enjoy this by myself. I don't have to be
Right.
doing a thing.
And
So,
what a fascinating, maybe not always in a good way, character that UConn coach is. You know,
um,
he's one of those people. I read his book. I listened to an interview with him, and I was so interested that I read his book. And like, it's he's just one of those people that considers everything a fight to the death. Like everything is a fight to the death.
he is innately human. A lot of his bluster on the court, a lot of the things he does on the court is to protect his players. Yeah, it's overdone, and he makes mistakes. Like no, like I'm not. He does things. Um, like Nick Sirianni does a lot of the same stuff with the Eagles. He he does it, but he does it sometimes to put the shine on him and let his players just be.
Mm,
I want to draw attention to what Dan Hurley did at the end of last night's game. There are two things that happened that
oh yeah,
tell
yeah.
that are show just how innately, like just how inherently human he is, and
And what a
how
good man
honestly,
he
like,
is.
yep, like for all the criticism he could take, people have to realize he's a goddamn human being. In that he spent copious amounts of time with the Michigan players after the game, and that he had, and I believe this was actually probably a team decision, but it was one that Hurley, I'm positive, was the spearhead on. The UConn team waited for Michigan to finish celebrating. Like they stood there and waited
Yeah, on the
before
court.
they, before, and it was respecting because they had done it themselves, and they showed Michigan the respect of like knowing like they're going to celebrate, um, and then we'll congratulate them. And I was like, yep, like that's Dan Hurley in a nutshell.
Yeah.
For
Well,
all
but
of the
that's what's so
nonsensical
maddening.
shit he does, he is just as human could be. And I very much appreciate that. Even though he complains about the refs nonstop, like that's the human side of him. It's what he does. And actually, he was very complimentary about the refs last night on some things that he probably might not need it to be, but it is what it is. The game's played. Michigan was better. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating. You're right. He's very human, but he's binary.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
no
yeah.
like.
I mean,
There's no middle.
I mean, I would also throw out you grow up as uh you know Bob Hurley's son.
Yeah.
Like there's a book, The Miracle of St. Anthony's, incredible book. Like he kept that school afloat by himself. Like that school should have went bankrupt a bunch of times, but he kept that going. He would drive players like to practice, like he would do all the things, but he kept that school running as long as possible. And then he was also the coach that he was, and like the father figure to a lot of players that needed father figures. I mean, you grew up with that guy. I get that. You know, I totally get that.
Yeah, and I mean, he his book, he talks a lot about the demons that he faced early in his life and that sort of thing. That growing up in that and his rebellions, it was very, very interesting. A really good read and surprisingly well written.
He's a very well-spoken person.
Mm-hmm.
He's surprisingly articulate for a
My
New
last
Jersey
one,
person.
I promise you, is not kissing up, but my last one is out of the park baseball, uh, because there was that's for you, Nico. There was about OOTP 7, my brother and I started a historical league with all fictional players starting in 1900. And I was running the Giants, he was running the Cubs for some reason. And we would play, like I'd play a week and then I'd zip up the file and email it to him and he'd play a week and back and forth. And we created this world that we then ported over to OOTP 8, OOTP 9, all the way to OOTP like 17. We did this. I still have the file actually. And it was one of the greatest sports, like creating that world and sort of making the history of that world and living in the history of that world was such a great moment for both of us. And we would like make up stories about the players. And I drafted the best pitcher, and so that became the Cy Young of our world was Andrew Orson, and he was from Utah, so I started calling him the Storm and Mormon, and that became, and so now the pitching award is the Storm and Mormon award, and like just all, and that to me is the it made me realize the power of the emergent narrative gameplay that OOTP inherently creates, and that's what I love in the game.
I still remember Mike Bordi, Frenchie Armstrong, Billy Travis, Ed Gladman. Those were all in the MLEB, which was Dream Teams' online league that I joined. I still remember those guys. They showed back up in his Metros League. One thing that may become a thing with this with my streaming, I've had a fictional idea for 15 years. It grew out of the promotion relegation stuff. It originally started as an 8 league, 16 team per league, like a national concept, but in regional leagues that all would have different styles of play. So like the Southern League, I always have had in my head to have like a style that was akin to 1911 baseball. The Northeast, because like I think the late 70s, early 80s are probably my favorite and most statistically diverse style of baseball. That's kind of where I would put that. And I had this all mapped out, but I had them with more English soccer football styled names. And then it would culminate in a national championship. And I had it all set up, and I just couldn't I couldn't get the game to honor the era styles. Like it just, there was something in the recalc that was screwing up, and I couldn't get it figured out, and I would reboot it every now and again. But over the past couple years, and I think I started this like maybe around the time of our honeymoon. Like I remember driving around Spain, and I'm looking up things because I came up with a bigger. I was looking up I would look up cities because I would want to get historical stuff on them for the teams that I would be creating, because I came up with I moved it to a promotional relegation setup, still in regions, like 4 regions, but it was like 4 tiers by like 12 teams per tier. And I've been building on that. And then I just came up with, because the World Baseball Classic is in Out of the Park 27. And I was like, well, could we set up leagues in other countries, fictional, and have the same thing, and then have fictional World Baseball Classics? Like that would be a hell of a thing. And I was like, that would be a hell of a thing for a stream. It's a huge undertaking. Like it's absurd. It's perfect for somebody with my brain, I think, even though I go in and out of it. But like I've been working on it off and on since
Well,
2010.
that's where streaming can actually be an advantage, because streaming, you can have just a dedicated time where I'm going to work on this. And
Oh yeah.
B, having, having the stream thing, you have to dedicate that time, and that can be a really helpful thing. I find that a lot, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I've got the time to do this draft I need to do, because I'm streaming tonight.
Oh yeah. I'm still in the format. Like I have all the cities picked out, but I'm still coming up with like team names and stuff like that. And that's where I'm like, well, there could be a groupthink thing, but then there's also logos and uniforms and stuff like that. That like, it's just there's a lot,
Yeah.
but it's something that if there's interest in it, definitely like I'll
Yeah.
make it a thing. Because
Well,
there's a lot that can be
I'm
done with it.
excited because I think you're gonna do different things with the base game than a lot of most of our base game streamers, many of our base game streamers are either kind of engine deconstructionists or replayers. Like I replay the Giants, and um, other people replay seasons and that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to see what you do with that. Friends, if you haven't already, give a Comey of Errors. You can see you can follow it there. I gave him a shout out earlier after I figured out I was shouting out somebody else. I was just shouting out Comey, so some guy named Comey probably got a lot of follows. But give a Comey of Errors a follow. Gonna be starting up streaming soon, and as you can tell from tonight, it's gonna be a lot of great stories. And that's
I used them all here. They're
well,
all
all right.
used.
Then he's got nothing else to say. I find that unlikely. And I think you got a taste tonight of sort of that love of narrative flow that's going to, I think, really flow into OOTP gameplay nicely. And we also know you're an OG of the community, so you know OOTP pretty darn well. So that's exciting as well, to see
Well,
you
I
like do
think
some
that's
stuff in the editor and things like that.
this will be a learning experience for me because like there's still a lot in the base game that like I'm learning.
Mm.
Um, but you are right. Like I do rather enjoy the narrative. I enjoy the deep dive, the leisurely stroll rather than the sprint to the finish. Like I prefer that. Um, and then it's just a matter of whether or not people are gonna put up with whatever the heck is in here, because who knows? Who
Well,
knows?
thank you so much, Comey, for being so generous with your time. I know it's probably late there. Let me
Yeah,
do the math. Yeah, it's
whatever.
like
Time
1:30.
flies when you're having fun.
It's true, and I have had a great time. This was big fun. Um, please come on again once you've been doing this for a while, and we can talk about, because one of the things we didn't talk about tonight that I'd like to talk about at some point is sort of just the mechanics of streaming, because I think I would love to do. I always say to people that watch, like, if I can do this, you can do this. The barrier for entry is probably as low as it's ever been, and so
I got it at the right time.
so having somebody who has gone through that process fairly recently talk about how they set everything up and that sort of thing, I think would be really useful.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I was an early podcaster. I've been podcasting since 2005.
Oh,
With a fake college football league that was run using Bullbound.
Bowl bound. Oh, I love it. Somewhere
Yeah.
up there, I have my pay dirt. I don't know where I have my pay dirt football set.
No, well, Bullbound was a game that was produced by 400 Software Studios,
Yeah.
and and that Arlie got screwed on that. That's a story for another time. But like, there's a reason. There's a reason that there. I mean, there's a reason Arlie didn't put out a second pro football game. People may not know that Arlie put out a first football game that had a lot of promise, but there's a reason he didn't put out a second one, and it had nothing to do with Arlie, in my view. That's a story for another time. But like, yeah, the podcasting thing, like, I like toying around with tech and like trying all sorts of crap that sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. So like the streaming aspect does appeal to me. Now if I could just figure out the stupid stream deck, and then I think, I mean, I have most of it figured out, but like, then there's like the little nuance stuff. And then like, there's all the like there's all the technical stuff that has to be done. Like my thing is going to look like public access for a little while.
Look,
And
that's all mine looks like. You know, I use an out of the box program because I don't want to deal with all that. It's the same thing Lab uses.
I do. I just, I've left a grocery store hungry and mad with no food because that's how my brain can operate. And when there's just too much, my brain can go have fits. And so like this is great, but also has me feeling like that at times, which can be a little self-defeating. So like tonight is great because I had to set up and just have something, which isn't hard to do. But now that it's set up, like, well, maybe I'm on tomorrow for a little while. Although I have to make my trivia. It appears I will be on Saturday no matter what, because I said something.
Some PTCS.
And Friday will probably be a thing. Thursdays will never be a thing because I have trivia, and it's a lot. I make that all myself. That's a lot. So
I imagine.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done talking. I should go to
all
bed.
Right. Friends, we are going to raid over to Franchise Time Machine. Like I said, give a Comey of Errors. Love that name. Give a Comey of Errors a follow, and look for him to start streaming soon. I will keep shouting you out once we have a schedule down and that sort of thing. And he will definitely be back on After Talk. All right, let's set up.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
very much appreciated.
I'm so glad this worked out. And I've so enjoyed our conversations both on and offline before this and during this. Has been fantastic. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Oh, yeah. I thought I took too much. So I'm glad you're saying that.
I mean, I started this because I want to get to know I want to get to know the other streamers, and I think everybody's got really neat stories. And so sort of having that connection with people and making putting a face to the streamer and things like that is something I feel strongly about.
Nice. Yeah. Next time I'm on, I'll have to tell you about the day that LB and I met and how that was
Yeah. We got to get you and LB like at the same time. That would be nobody would get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. Thank you for that backhanded compliment. That's a good.
That includes me as well. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Goodbye, internet friends.
Bye, everybody.
All right. We are clear. Let me end this.